Good afternoon to everyone here with us in the University of the Philippines, as well as our participants who have joined us today through Zoom and DZUP's live streaming. Welcome to CreaCon 2023. To fully participate in one of the speakers' talks today, please download Discord if you don't have it yet and ready your account. Because we shall be talking about CreaItivity today, let us all welcome our AI host for this afternoon. From TVJ's EAT, let's all welcome Ellen from Hollywood.
Hello, everyone. Palakpakan naman diyan. Thank you. You might be wondering, who's this super gorgeous host? Well, I'm the one and only Ellen from Hollywood. Bakit ako host ninyo today? Because today's hot topic is about artificial intelligence, or AI. AI has incredible creative potential. Using larger-than-ever databases, it can generate new text, images, videos, and music, sometimes even faster and better than humans. Kayo ba gumagamit ng AI sa homework ninyo? Tell me the truth. Umamin kayo. That is why AI's role in creativity sparks both excitement and doubt. Can it lead the way for innovation, or might it replace human creativity? This is the question that we will discuss today. Together with mavens from the communications industry, we will explore this fascinating world. To welcome us, please give a warm round of applause to the Dean of the College of Mass Communication here at UP Diliman, Dean Hernan Paragas.
Mike, ayan. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Ako ang inyong dean. Ayan, so seryoso na. Good afternoon everyone. Isang malayang at mapagpalayang hapon sa ating lahat. Universities appear as immobile as their concrete buildings. Offered in these solid structures are many long-standing programs, the curricula of which are perhaps merely tweaked now and then. These programs, in turn, are taught through learning modalities familiar to us. Lectures and discussions, papers and exams, recitations and whatnot in traditional classrooms, and lately in virtual spaces. It is easy to assume that this has always been the case. But the modern university that privileges scientific processes and reasoning over religious doctrine and classical philosophizing is relatively new in the scheme of knowledge construction. Just over 2 centuries, in fact. Universities, as we know them, began only in the 1800s when there were seismic shifts in science and technology. We are once again in another period of significant development in how we create knowledge because of the emergence of artificial intelligence, or AI. While AI is not new, its generative modality appears to contest our own capacity to create art and text, synthesize information, and even perhaps discover new phenomena. This is unsettling because we are used to talking among ourselves, our fellow human beings, in the pursuit of knowledge and the creation of various products and services. Technology merely obeyed our commands without talking back to us. It is unsettling because the output of AI technologies resembles our own work, and their use then appear tantamount to cheating. We need to be unsettled because only with this sense of unease can we begin to discern how to approach AI, to optimize its potentials and mitigate its pitfalls. This tension is anyhow not new to us in the university. Being uncomfortable with the state of knowledge and the status of society drives us to teach, do research, and render public service. But our processes can be tedious. Curricular reviews and institution of new programs and courses, for example, take time, especially when contrasted against how fast technology and industry are moving. That is why symposia like what we are having today are particularly important for us. As we at the university navigate AI, discussions like this as with the recent Digital Marketing Association of the Philippines conference, where some of our colleagues are from, help us make sense of it, especially over how we chart our future and how we can master our creativity towards a better collective future. And as we move towards renaming our college to reflect our embrace of all media and communication, we also resolve to help lead in the discussion of AI. And as I speak, we are forming a college-wide AI technical working group that will define an AI agenda for the college, and by extension, the university. So yun muna yung balita. Maraming salamat for being with us in these first steps towards realizing our goals and ensuring that AI empowers you, the next generation, ng ating mga alagad ng medyang malaya at mapagpalaya. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Dean Hernan Paragas. I have a question for you. Do you find me beautiful? Sabi ng mami at Lola Belen ko, maganda ako. Yahoo! Laban lang. Okay, to proceed. Today, we are pleased to have a talented lineup of industry experts to help us explore the intriguing intersection of human and artificial creativity. Our first speaker today is a creative technologist with a successful track record in both Web 2 and Web 3 environments. He has a proven expertise as a creative director in advertising and marketing. He also has recent experience as chief marketing officer of a Web 3 tech startup. Proficient in web design, UI and UX, concept creation, product development, and overall creative direction, he is actively involved in the NFT space with a strong passion for VR, AI, and anything tech. An enthusiastic blockchain advocate and community member in the Web3 ecosystem, let's all welcome Vandy Parasillo.
Hello. Hi, good afternoon. Okay, I guess I just wanted to quick background lang about myself while I set this. Can someone help me lang connect? Sorry, tech help, connect lang sa... Ayun, okay, sige. So, hi everyone. Just a raise of hands, sino dito yung students? Daming students. Faculty and academe. Ayun, konti. Pero okay din to. And then we have some members from the Huddle room. Thank you for having me. I'm Vandy. Sabi nga ni Alan, AI Alan. I'm actually a creative technologist. I started in the industry a few years back, maybe 10, 12 years ago. And like my passion talaga is really anything and everything creative tech. So like I've been into like drones, projection mapping, VR, AR, anything new like really excites me. And I guess like for this presentation, so I wanted to talk my AI journey and for me how it helped me as I guess as a creative. So I just want to ask, so ano lang questions? Who knows? Ay, nawawala yung ano ko. Patulong. Anyway, who knows these tools? Logos lang siya ngayon. But has anyone used any of these? Sino may alam ng apat? Isa. Ano yung isa? The second one, Midjourney. Who uses Midjourney here? Midjourney. The first one, ChatGPT. Kunwari pa kayo. Okay lang yan. Hindi nila malalaman. Nakatalikod yung mga profs natin. So, ChatGPT, who has used ChatGPT? Not a lot rin. The third one, Adobe Firefly. So this is something new. And the fourth one is Quillbot. So I just wanted to ask kung sino yung may alam because yun nga, I wanted to feel the room and parang ano ba yung, I guess like, how intensive is our AI knowledge. And the reason why I'm putting these there is like, I want to share that these are actually my tools that I use maybe in a daily or like whenever I come up with projects. And these are the tools that help me, I guess, better myself, better my craft, and later I'll explain how. So, whenever someone asks me, like, parang ano ba yung sabihin ng AI, and do I need to know that? Like, do I like really need to like rabbit hole on AI? As a creative, what will AI do? What will it how can it help me better myself, diba? So I always tell everyone that think of human-AI collaboration as a duet. So it's a partner. It's like magka-level kayo. Where humans and AI join forces to create something extraordinary. And this collaboration is not just a luxury. It's a necessity for staying competitive. So I guess my biggest example for this one is, I remember like, okay, I just want to get this out first. Like parang whenever you see mga headlines of AI this, AI that, like always take those things with a grain of salt. But always try to like learn what's happening. Because like yun nga whenever may AI, parang may doom and gloom na parang AI, AGI is gonna take over the world, it's gonna take over all our data, and then wala na tayo, di ba? But meron naman on the flip side, like, oh, if you use AI, like your level of parang talino mo, aangat siya like up to the level of Einstein, which for me is like also parang opposite end of the hype naman. Parang, is that really true? Well, for me, I guess this holds true. Like the through human and AI collaboration, I think of it as a duet, ka-partner. So, for example, this is your level of intelligence. If you ask AI about quantum physics or quantum mechanics and you know nothing about it, it will like spew out lots of information. And then ikaw parang, uy, ang galing. But you have no way to verify, right? And that for me is the, I guess like just a caveat, that for me is the little flaw of AI. Na it really sounds so sure about itself. Alam mo yun? Like whenever it says something, and then you ask him, are you sure? And then pwedeng magsabi, oh, I'm not. And tatanungin ka pa niya of further questions. So this is something na I want to reiterate. Like for me kasi as in the past, I worked as a creative director. And my flow is like talaga, like for example, Ryan here, he used to be my ka-partner, ka-work as a creative director. So gusto ko ng kabatuhan, gusto ko ng ka-brainstorm, gusto ko ng ka-bounce back ng ideas, right? So that for me is like the use of AI. So kung ano man yung alam ko, I can actually validate it myself, but I can actually ask AI more questions, alam mo yun, help me brainstorm, help me ideate, etc. So yun, so it's a collaboration. This collaboration is not just a luxury. So people might think na parang, maybe I don't need this because I'm okay naman. The thing is, like parang, as more people who are into AI, like start like digging and start like understanding what's in store for them, yun yung, I guess, like the, my fear na you don't want to be left behind. So yun siya for me. So I just want to talk about like some of the parang evolution of tools. Like what I mentioned, for me, I think of AI as a tool. And since we're talking about creativity, I just wanted maybe to focus on these kumbaga pivotal moments in the timeline of creatives, diba? For centuries, diba, people have been like drawing, painting, using charcoal, pencil, using paint, different kinds of paint, oil, ganyan. And they've perfected it, and they've created masterpieces. And this is an example, we have here the Mona Lisa. So back then, traditional art was it. Like if you wanted to have your portrait made, you look for an artist, you look for an illustrator, you look for a master, diba? But then, like sometime few hundred years later, photography came in. And when that happened, like parang ang daming nagalit, like di yan totoong art, diba? Like ang daming galit, like parang you're using a tool na parang the moment you take a photo, yan na yun. Hindi siya creative work. You're just capturing what's in there. And then years went by, and more years went by, and people have mastered the camera, di ba? Like parang people like started like experimenting with different shots, different lenses, different everything. And with that, like a new art form came about. And when you say like parang, oh, a photo is better than an artwork, like parang it's not necessarily true. And the flip side is also correct. Like a traditional painting is not better than a photo. So as new tools emerge, parang the timeline branches out, diba? So at first it's all traditional, and then when photography happened, the cameras came in, nagkaroon ng new art form, which is taking photos. And then again, another few decades later naman, ito na, pumasok na digital art. So when it first started, ano pa yan, Adobe, like, first Adobe Photoshop, Corel Draw, Illustrator, early days of Illustrator. When that happened, like, parang, that was exciting for me. And that was like one of my first forte talagang digital art. I'm gonna make like, vectors, I'm gonna make this, that. And it excited me. But at the same time, around that time, like you'd be hearing mga naysayers, like parang, digital art is not real art. Like unless it's on a piece of paper, unless it's like tangible, like, it's not real art. And then again, few years went by, and now, actually, digital art is a viable piece of art, diba? It's like considered a new form. And I think we're in this stage wherein AI came into the picture. So Mid-Journey, so maybe around April of last year, pumasok yung Mid-Journey. DALL-E pumasok, and then people are like, oh my God, what is this? Like I can type horse riding a watermelon in the beach while wearing shades. And then kaya niyang gawin. So parang, around that time, ang daming artists, daming graphic designers natakot. Like parang, oh no, wala na tayong trabaho. Oh no, like, tapos na tayo. But for me, I guess, like what I mentioned earlier, it's just another tool. And every time a new tool is introduced into the equation, like, you split up that timeline, and then now we have this new form of art, and that is AI art. So I'll be explaining more about this. And yun nga the more, the more people try to experiment on AI. I don't know if you've seen yung on your Reels or on your TikTok, like yung mga super trippy, para siya nagpapalit-palit, and then it's like, what's happening? This is so psychedelic, this is so trippy visuals. Like parang, oh, it's AI pala, and then you just need to do a few prompts here and there, and then you have that. So now, yun na. So parang people are saying like, no, prompt engineering, that's not really an art. But now it's starting to become more of an art form. The simpler, the better, the more concise your prompts are, the more, the better your output becomes. So, I guess let's talk about yung landscape of creative excellence. For me kasi, every time a new, again, tool is introduced into the timeline, I believe that the overall standards for creative excellence is like being pushed 1 notch, 2 notches, 3 notches higher. And I can clearly say that this is happening, especially in AI. So I just wanted to give like some examples, because like whenever we think of AI, sometimes napapaisip ka, oh, it's just Mid-Journey, and like what yung example ko, na parang dog wearing scuba gear. Diba? Parang it's so first level. But what we don't know is as these tech, as the AI tech progresses, like you see this more and more in everyday stuff like movies, TV, music, and now it's just hidden. It's not front and center. This is AI, but rather you use AI as a tool to better your craft. So an example for this one is, you see the first photo, you see the dog, and then with the cat. And then this is like for Pixar's Toy Story. So when you compare Toy Story 1 and then you compare it to Toy Story 4, like you can see, I don't know if kita dito, pero yun, the detail dun sa 1, parang low polygon pa siya, di ba? But then yun dun sa 4, like the cat's fur, the God rays, di ba, yung patak ng ilaw, it's so precise. And as you can see, I don't know if you've seen Elementals na movie, the fire that they use is so legit na parang how do you do that, diba? And then what we found out is like apparently like Pixar's invested in super deep AI stuff. So AI volumetric and animation tools are used to make these movies possible. So for me, ito siya, like sometimes like we think of AI as the final product na parang okay, gagawa ko ng something, ito na siya, cheeseburger na may mata, or di ba? Parang ganun siya. And it's fun, but what you don't see is like the moment you introduce it into your workflow, the moment you introduce it into your creative process, now you're pushing for creative excellence. So this one example. The second example naman is how it's seen in pop culture and music. So, sino may alam ng first one? The Drake and The Weeknd AI collab. Anyone? 1, 2, wala, yung mga nakarinig. Okay, sige. So for this one, it was so interesting because like, what they did was they got like different songs of Drake, and then they got like the different, I guess, songs rin and like melody of The Weeknd, and they were able to come up with a song. It's a collab that's never happened, and technically wala silang kinalaman dito. So maybe later in the ethics part, we can talk more about this. But this is happening, and then in fact, this was actually parang in-enter siya as a sa Grammys, and then people are like, wait, hold up. So what now? What do we now consider as like music, as art, diba? So parang now, what's great about this is like, we're pushing the boundaries of creative excellence, and at the same time, we're also like questioning what is now real art, diba? So parang maybe later in the ethics part, like we'll dive into that deeper. But yun eh. So for me, like the moment you're starting to have conversations of what is possible, and mapapaisip ka, wait, if someone did that, can I do the same? And then tatry ka siguro with like a few Drake songs or other songs, diba? And then like, wait, maybe I can do it myself. And then now that's like a new, I guess, avenue for you for creativity. Second one naman, this one si Grime. So what she did was she launched an AI music software that generates her voice. So with this, like parang you can see how other artists are also, instead of this one na parang wala silang kinalaman, dito naman it's more of like, how do I embrace the technology in such a way that, yeah, I know this is happening. I know AI is here. So how can I be the first? How can I be more creative? And how can I just push the limits? So for me, another thing that really excites me about AI is, as a creative, like I just treat it as my playground. So if you're familiar with AI, like parang every week there are like new tools coming out, some good, some bad. But then like if it piques your interest, like try it out. Most of them are free, diba? And then like parang it just pushes your limit of creative excellence. This one naman, finally, last example ko for this part. Who has Photoshop and who has tried the generative fill? Ikaw lang ulit. Generative fill Photoshop. So with this one naman, so Adobe Photoshop, so Adobe, I guess a whole Adobe suite, they added like different AI tools with generative fill, and like if you know the others, meron din in different, like you can change the palette, like in Illustrator, etc. So for this one, later I'll show you like how I use this like in a more practical sense. But then, for me, this is a good example of pushing creative excellence, because like the moment I can remove the grunt work from the equation, I can now focus on coming up with a better technique or coming up with a big idea, diba? So for example, this one, like if this is your original, you're able to extend it. So na-extend dito. You're able to select this part and then turn it into a castle. So may castle na. Then select this, turn it into a mountain, and then you have a mountain. And for me, it's just like, I guess early days of Photoshop, like it was like, parang before it was like collage type photo manipulation. But then for now, it's like, it's just made the process easier. It just made the process faster. And the moment you have, for me, this is like the biggest takeaway. It's like, if I were to do this from that, it would probably take me maybe an hour in Photoshop. But with AI, it could probably take me 10 to 15 minutes with a proper prompting. The remaining 45 minutes, I can now spend on making more other creative stuff, items. Like that for me is like the true beauty of it. Like the moment you remove that time from all the grunt work, then you can focus on the better stuff. So I want to talk about naman my process here. So the 4 icons I showed earlier, ito yung daily AI tools that I use. So like what I mentioned, I treat ChatGPT as my brainstorm buddy. So hindi ako nagtatanong sa kanya ng mga bagay na hindi ko alam. Like what I mentioned, like quantum physics, quantum, diba? Other stuff like that. Because like the moment you do that, you can't verify. But if you treat it as a brainstorm buddy, it would change the game. So for example, whenever I have like So in my company, so I do Web3 blockchain tech, and then we sometimes pitch to clients, diba? Like parang this is the technology that we have, we can do this to your NFTs, etc. It's sometimes hard to explain, it's sometimes hard to explain if you don't have presentation, diba? Parang if I just like boka-boka, hindi nila maintindihan. So, and sometimes like these pitches, like parang, oh, bukas may presentation tayo, ah. Tapos parang, anong pag-uusapan natin? Hindi, basta ito yung product nila, and then gawa tayo ng campaign around it, tapos kailangan siya by 9 a.m. So, if you have the luxury of having a full team, of having art director, storyboard artist, you have an FA artist, you have copywriters at your disposal, I would rather use them. I would rather go to my team and do the presentation with the team, as it should. But, usually nga, kapag super rushed and super ganito, sometimes you just need to like wing it. And for me, like, these AI tools like really help. So for example, so ChatGPT is my brainstorm buddy. I ask him questions, and then I start like having that conversation with it. Some people, like, parang even ChatGPT, di ba, may iba-ibang style. Some people say na parang, oh, you need to have like a killer prompt, di ba? You need to have that one prompt para pag nasulat mo na yan, like, andyan na lahat. But for me, I treat it as an equals, di ba? Kaduet ko siya. So, ask questions, let the AI ask questions rin to you, and then you can go back and forth. Once I have na my skeleton, I go to Midjourney. If I need mock-ups, like I just describe what I need. Like if I'm gonna present something like this, I would describe this. Like I want a red girl standing on a sand dune, midday, clear sky or something. And then this is what it would come up. The thing is, I'm not like super happy pa with it. So what I do naman is from Midjourney. So Midjourney is I treat it as my art director or storyboard artist. With Midjourney naman, lilipat ko siya sa Firefly or sa Photoshop with generative fill. I can easily clean up, so fix this, change the footsteps, make it cleaner, add some clouds, make it more dramatic, and then you can just like, what do you call this? Just experiment and like until you reach the point like what you want, diba? And then finally, I used rin naman Quillbot. So Quillbot is, so me, I'm not copy-based, so I'm not a writer, but I have ideas. So usually, I use a copywriter. But ito yung mga ideas ko, and then, can you make it sound nice? So, parang ganun siya. But now, like, yung kausap ko na ngayon is like a robot for it. So it's interesting because like in this, like, kumbaga, tech stack that I have, it really helps my creative process, I guess, shorten the creative process or like, make me like come up with like better ideas for the presentation instead of like, you know, like fixing pa all the minor details, especially if it's just a pitch. So another thing is like whenever we have pitches, then kasi it's like, I don't know if you're familiar with this, pero in the agency world, so in advertising, not all pitches are paid. So sometimes like parang OOT kayo. Ito wala yung TV natin. So parang sometimes nag-OOT kayo and then biglang, oh, it's for a pitch tapos di pala siya bayad. So for me, like this is an easy way for me to justify it. Like parang if none of my teammates naman pala are getting paid, bakit ko sila ipapag-overtime, di ba? And then if this can like eliminate that hassle, like so be it. So that we could have more time to think of the idea. Because like, that one naman, like mahirapan ka to just like leave it to ChatGPT. So I leave all the important parts of the creative process to myself and then give all the, kumbaga, grunt work to the robot. Okay, so benefits. So what are the benefits? For me, like what I mentioned, so ito na lang, enhanced creativity and ideation. So whenever I, like stumble na parang roadblock, diba? Parang, nakaka 12 ideas na ako pero hindi pa rin nakaka-crack, hindi pa rin ito yung best idea. So I can like start talking to the robot and like extracting ideas. So parang may kausap talaga akong, parang may kausap akong tao. Efficiency and productivity gain. So like what I mentioned, if I can eliminate yung minor tweaks in photo manipulation, or if I can create like a beautiful storyboard within minutes because I can like actually dictate what I want. Or kung kunwari sa video editing, there are some video editing apps that are AI enabled na you can record yourself, do a full podcast, and then it will just delete all the ums and ahs and the pauses and stuff. And that for me is really good, right? And then finally, it's like, for me, this is like an access to the vast data sets and resources. So with AI, it's like it's got all the information in the internet, and as it scours through those, like parang for me, you can get like more crazy in terms of like the kinds of ideas that you can come up with the help of AI. Sige, so now let's talk about like how can this be seen, or how will this be applied in maybe the next 5, 7, 8 years, diba? So the future of AI in the creative field. There have been lots and lots of new game developers now that are utilizing AI tech. So actually, if you guys want like a full resource, I can give you naman. It's just not in the presentation. But there are some AI apps right now where you can just go and then describe the scene, and then it will create a 360 3D world for you. So parang how crazy is that? There are also new AI tech wherein you can just like take a photo of someone, maybe 3 angles, and then it can create a 3D avatar version of you where you can like import it to maybe Roblox or kung ano mang metaverse yung pwede nyong paglaruan. So I believe that there will be like that boom in terms of new and different kinds of art and different kinds of video games. Ito naman, in movies, so you've heard about yung recent strike because like people are actors are like super against like getting their likeness tapos one-time payment and then tapos na. So parang for them, no. This shouldn't be. But what's great about it is like now you can create like different characters. So maybe it's not a person, but with AI you can turn this into a frog or a duck or something. And I guess it'll just keep getting crazier. Future of AI in the creative field, I'm sure it will also disrupt product development. So you know how whenever people come up with products, like parang, ano ba yan? Like yung cellphone natin, lagpas 10 years na, it's just a black brick, di ba? Like parang wala bang product innovation na pwede mangyari? Wala bang product innovation na pwede mangyari in other tech products? So I believe that there will be an influx of this new, exciting, and like, I guess, like yun nga, parang out of this world ideas that will come out in product development, in fashion. So fashion is also being targeted na rin. So especially now that, yun nga parang there's no one trend or there's no one fashion rule that you follow anymore. Like parang as long as it's you, then it makes sense. So I think AI can easily like push that onto a different level. And of course, architecture. So this is something then that I actually use, not architecture as a whole, but I also do some side projects. I help some of my friends like fix their interiors. And then, it's so easy as long as you know how to draw. So parang you draw the sketch of like what you want it to look like, and then you can just like feed it to the AI, and then it will render it for you. So I'm sure this we'll see this keep continuing in the next 5, 10 years. And finally, so ito naman, content will never be the same. So the more people like get their hands into the AI, like, and as more softwares and new tech are being developed, we'll be seeing more and more AI music. You'll be seeing AI books. We'll be seeing AI children's story books, etc. So take it, is that good or bad? So parang for me naman, like eventually the market will clean itself. But for now, I think this is interesting. If there are more books that are like targeted to, I guess, kids, or maybe if you're a parent and then there are tools wherein you can upload the photo of your kid, upload the name, and then you can add the different stories, and then it can produce super tailor-fit books to your kid, parang that's something special, I think. And many more. So these are I'm just skimming through the surface of what the future of AI can bring. So dito na tayo papasok. I'll just breeze through this because like I know the other speaker will like deep dive pa dito later. But for me, the challenges and ethical considerations, I'll just list my top 3. So for me, it's like the potential pitfalls of over-reliance. So sometimes yun rin like especially once like especially you're in the creative industry and then once clients start to find out, ay, madali lang pala yung AI, so kaya niya na yan ng mas mabilis. So the idea of like, oh, dapat 5 hours siyang gagawin, kaya niya naman pala ng 2 hours eh. So imbes na you have 3 hours to like do more creative stuff na limit to 2 and then kaya niya na yan and then i-AI nyo na lang. So parang, no, but I have a writer na ready to do it or I have an art director ready to do it. Hindi, kaya na ng AI yan. So I think that's like one of the, I guess, downsides of it. But to answer that, then I think the best way is to really equip yourselves with the tech, equip yourselves with the knowledge so that you can do it. And then, as the creative, you can also be the one to determine like parang until where's your line? Because like you don't want to be over reliant rin because the moment you start like just using all robots, in the end like you'll feel rin parang am I happy with my creation? Like ilang percent dito yung gawa ko, ilang percent yung robot, and is this something that I can actually show the world? Because like ko ba talaga gumawa niyan or AI? So I think yun naman, may parang checks and balances din tayo as creatives for this. The second one naman is job displacement. So we've been hearing about this, parang the rise of AI talagang it will eliminate jobs. Again, what I keep telling people is like AI will not replace jobs. It will replace the people who don't know AI. Because as more years like as more tech is produced and like magiging mas malalim pa yan, it will be more complex and it will be more robust in the future. And yun nga the AI is just a tool. Hindi ka papalitan ng AI. Hindi ka tatanggalan ng trabaho ng AI. But someone who's in your level, maybe your batchmate, maybe your classmate, who actually took the time and understand and like read up and like applied AI into their work, maybe that person will be the one that can take your job. So yun lang siya for me. And then of course the ethical considerations. So parang this is just a big example of like the deep fakes and diba parang it becomes more, I guess it becomes harder to trust what you see anymore because like totoo ba to? Tama ba? Siya ba talaga nagsabi niyan? Siya ba talaga nag-declare nitong statement na to? So for me, ano ko dito is like yes, it's here. Actually, deepfakes aren't new, diba? Like parang 5 years ago pa lang may mga deepfakes na. It just keeps getting easier to make. So for me, it's a race din So parang there are people rin who are policing it because like of course, the moment this becomes rampant and like 99% puro deepfake, parang saan pa tayo maniniwala, diba? So I believe that there are like, I guess, bigger governing bodies that would actually police this. But for us as tayo, like let's just be more vigilant na lang din about the things that we share, diba? Like parang totoo ba to? AI ba to? Then if you're not sure, maybe just don't share it, maybe just like leave it as is or talk about it and like let people know that it's AI. Yun siya for me. And I guess like just to sum it all up, I have some slides. So for the conclusion, AI is here to stay. So it's not some fad, di ba? Hindi siya, uso lang siya kasi ito yung hype topic ngayon in tech. But actually, AI has been around for decades, di ba? Hindi naman siya bago lang. It was just like what was mentioned earlier, na parang AI has been around, di ba? Predictive text is AI. The algorithms in your Netflix, ano yung next na isa sa ipapakita sa inyo is AI. So it's not new, but also it's not a fad. and it's not a passing fad lang. So it's here to stay. So artificial intelligence isn't just a passing trend, it's a transformative force that's reshaping the creative landscape. So to truly grasp its potential, you must experience it firsthand. So again, like if you just keep listening to talks like this or keep reading or watching mga news headlines about AI, it's good that you're informed of what's happening. But I guess my request is just try it out. Like I think parang 80-90% haven't even tried ChatGPT. ChatGPT is free. You don't need to subscribe to the ChatGPT 4 version to even just like get your feet wet. Also, Mid-Journey, like the first 20 images yata is free. But also there's DALL-E, there's Leonardo AI. There are lots of free AI resources and tools you can try today. And yun nga hindi siya parang may malaking hurdle na you have to like know how to code, you have to do this. No, it's like whatever, kung sino na kayo ngayon, like the moment you interact with the AI, that's enough. Second point, AI is a creative partner. As a creative partner, not a substitute. So AI isn't replacing human creativity. It's a powerful creative ally. Like what I said, it's like make a duet. It augments, amplifies, and inspires, working in harmony with human imagination. So for me, whenever I talk to AI, yun nga sometimes ang dami ko nang naisip, tapos biglang magsasuggest siya, oh, what about this? Like, even if it's not like the best suggestion, biglang that, whatever the robot says, can actually spark that or thought or be the seed for a new idea. So that for me is super, super important and super useful as a creative partner. And again, yun nga it's not a substitute. I'm not replacing naman my art directors and my copywriters. If I had them, if they're around, diba? Like, of course, I'd pick them over like the generic ones. Because like, eventually then, like if you've like played around with AI enough, like parang may makikita na parang, oh, ito parang AI gawa nito. Ito parang may konting off na konti. So, for me, it's that, like, if I can still have those creatives around me, I'd still pick them over AI, 100%. And then ito naman, the dawn of AI-human synergy. So the journey of AI and human collaboration is only in its infancy. Together, they're embarking on an exciting voyage of creativity, that one that holds immense promise for the future. So what do I mean by this? Like what I mentioned kanina, it's not just in the creative field. Also, when you speak of AI kasi, it's so big and it's so broad na it can like tackle different industries. So it's not just like an industry in its own, but it can latch on to different industries, like what I told you about product development, fashion, real estate, architecture, etc. So yan, so the dawn of human AI synergy is here. It's just beginning, it's in its infancy, and I want everyone to actually be part of this revolution, and I want everyone to just kahit subok lang. If you have a laptop, if you have a phone, like you can try it now. It can be your brainstorm buddy. It can be your, I guess, kausap if you're kind of like stuck somewhere. It could be your, turuan ka niya magluto if you want. Like, pwede mo niyang bigyan ng recipes, ng ingredients na meron ka, bibigyan ka niya ng maraming recipes. So parang, it's only just the beginning. And for me, it's all about you as a human being the co-pilot of the AI and not the other way around. So yan, thank you for your time. And yeah. If you have questions, I'll be around. So later after the talk, I can like answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Vandy, for shedding light on how AI and humans can work together to create big things. Tayo, do you think the two of us can create big things together? Ha 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 ha. For those who have questions for Vandy, he shall be returning later for our panel discussion. For today's second speaker, she worked with the biggest tech giants, from Meta to Microsoft and Unisys, and now currently stands at the helm of ShareIt, with a staggering 2.5 billion users worldwide. What sets her apart is the fusion of her tech prowess with the world of marketing and advertising. This happened when she spearheaded the Philippines branch of the renowned WPP ad agency, Wonderman. Her journey wasn't only in the corporate world, she carved her path as a founder of Chimes, a venture builder for startups, and a coaching venue for budding professionals. Today, she also holds a pivotal role as an independent director for one of the hottest startups, Cognitive AI, lighting the way for innovation in the MarTech world. Let's all welcome Chai Mandahar Saputo.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So happy to be here. Thank you, Rina and Huddle for inviting me. Before I start, I wonder if we could flash sorry, my retainers are. Okay, before I start, for those who doesn't have a Discord account, I would highly encourage you to sort of quickly create one right now. Madali lang naman if you have a Gmail, you do the log on. We will attempt for this session to be interactive as much as the interwebs will allow us. And true to form, being in UP, at lahat naman tayo dito ay estudyante, ando yung mga kaklase ko sa likod, mag-experiment tayo. Because I really believe that the best way to learn is to really experience it and try it out. So, if you can, have a Discord account, try it out. Habang hinihintay nyo yun, I'd like to introduce, thank you for the introduction. I really wanted to say thank you because when I was preparing for this presentation, my geek heart skipped a beat, because of excitement of what I understood more. So my degree is actually computer science when I was studying, and my first job was as a developer, a software engineer. So I don't know why I'm doing sales or advertising and marketing. I ended up here. But in reality, this is really something that I super got excited with. So I have multiple hats. I'm a founder of my own company. It's called Chimes. I do consulting for startups. I'm also a director of Share It, also of Cognitive AI, which is another startup. But for this session, I'm a sparkler, sparkler. Sparkler is I wanna sort of like, if by the end of the session, I spark curiosity and excitement enough for you to experiment and learn, I have done my job. Okay. Oops, there you go. Oops. All right, hang on. Nagmamadali yung deck ko. So creativity, I wanted to start with the very basics. What is creativity, diba? I mean, like, is it really just about art? Is it just really about performing? See, Albert Einstein was once quoted as saying, creativity is seeing what everyone has seen and thinking what no one else has thought. It's about connecting the dots and coming up with something new that maybe other people didn't see. So that is really what creativity is about. Coming from the word creation, you're creating something. So for this session, I was asked to do data-driven creativity. What does data-driven creativity mean? It's really about harnessing the power of information so that you could fuel innovation. Fuel innovation, ignite ideas, and ignite imagination and bringing to life your ideas. That's data-driven creativity. Data-driven creativity. This is so exciting because it's really about, if my analogy would be in an orchestra, data would be the music sheet. Nakita niyo sa orchestra, di ba? May binabasa silang music sheet. And the conductor is the creativity. So it's about creating something magnificent out of the music sheet and the conductor. So that's what we're gonna attempt to do this afternoon. Now, going into artificial intelligence, ano ba siya talaga? Everyone keeps on saying AI, AI, AI. What does it really mean? Now, artificial intelligence is just the ability of a machine, of a computer to learn. Now, maybe you'll get a better idea if I give you a quick history. But in any case, what's happening right now is there's a shift that's happening. I was asking si Pat, my good friend over there, what was the biggest invention that you've experienced in the last, sabi ko nung una, 20 years. Pero in 20 years is the year 2000 pala. So last 30 years na lang, di ba? Sige nga, what's the biggest invention that you've experienced? In your lifetime na lang sa audience na nandito. iPhone. Okay, definitely. Kasi before, may nakapag-Nokia pa ba sa mga audience na to? Wala na yata, di ba? But I agree. The ability, kasi yung mga phones dati, text-text lang, di ba? Then pumasok yung mga smartphones and now you have the ability to have your life in your hands. Andiyan na lahat. Email, entertainment, it's on your phone. That's one of the biggest inventions. But in reality, in my lifetime, you know, the internet, the fascination about mobile devices, and we really believe that AI is the next big shift. So a quick history about AI, just so that we could distinguish it. AI is not something that's recent. Artificial intelligence is not something recent. It's been around since the 1940s. Again, it's the ability for a machine to learn. The term AI was first coined by John McCarthy in 1956. So that was actually at that time, uso na siya. There were funds that was coming in, there were grants that's coming into universities such as Stanford, MIT. But around the 70s, parang nawalang gana sila sa AI. Parang, hindi naman talaga mag-work yan. It again picked up in the 1980s. So this is really important. I don't know if anyone here has a background in computer science. At least when I was studying, I had a machine problem. My machine problem, and that actually means a project, is we had to create a program that would, when you enter your symptoms, it will diagnose and give you what's the right herbal medicine. Simpleng-simple. So imagine a big library of all of the medicines and all of the symptoms, and mini-mix and match lang namin yan, and then it will result to what medicine you should take. Very simple. But that is still not yet artificial intelligence, because our system did not have the ability to learn by itself. It's really about all of the information that we put in there, and then it's whatever you entered and whatever you loaded into the system, yun lang din yung magiging output. Hindi siya nagbabago. In the 1990s, actually in the late 2020s or 2015, I don't know if you're familiar with OpenAI. This is actually the company that created ChatGPT and DALL-E. So they started in 2015, and then that's when deep learning was sort of invented by sina Joshua Bengio. I'll mention him later. So what does deep learning means? It's mean your system, you don't have to put in all of the data because it will learn by itself. That's why it now became artificial intelligence. So there are, in fact, two types of learning, supervised learning and unsupervised learning. Imagine that. So there are human beings who are training the system, and there are systems that can learn on their own. So that's why it became artificial intelligence. Now, I really wanted to take a moment to discuss this so that we also understand what artificial intelligence is all about. So as I said, I think back in 2018, si Joshua Bengio, one of this guy here, he got awarded the Turing Award. So Turing, if you've watched Benedict Cumberbatch, Imitation Game, anyone? Okay, one of my favorite movies. He was one of the first really computer scientists, you know. And the Turing Award is the equivalent of a Nobel Peace Prize Award for computer scientists. So they won it in 2018 because of their process and methodology to do deep learning. And I'm borrowing some of his slides from that one. So ready, I know you're mass comm folks, pero this is super interesting. So the theory is, if you present to a machine an image like this, it really doesn't mean anything. It's like when you show an animal this image, it's just white, and then there's black. What does that mean, right? But as human beings, how we do it is, we already understand that it's something, two people talking, and there's meaning to that. But what a computer does, or what a machine does, is figure out niya yung map nung image na yon by pixels, by little squares. Sabi niya, ito yung mga edge, ito yung mga stroke, and then you teach it. Pag ganito yung stroke, parang number 4 siya, and ano yung meaning ng 4? Maybe it means time. And then, okay, it means I'm confirming the time of our meeting. Now, as human beings, ang bilis natin matutunan yan, right? In a snap, right? Right now, you understand that. As a kid, hindi masyado. You have to teach a kid, right? So that's the same way that we have to teach machines. Kasi as human beings, we automatically process that because our brain is super powerful. To be honest, a machine is a dumb terminal, right? It doesn't know anything until you teach it something. The problem, though, is if we have to teach the machine everything, how long will that take? If we put in all of the data in a machine, it will almost be impossible for us to put in the human knowledge into the machine, right? So they develop another idea. Instead of putting in all of the knowledge in the world, why don't we just teach it one bit at a time, just the same way as kids learn in the world, right? So what do I mean by teach it one at a time? So, kunyari, you want to learn about a cat. Like cat, it's spelled as C-A-T, right? Instead of teaching you A to Z, sabi ko, tuturuan muna kita ng alphabet bago ko sa'yo ituturo yung cat. Why not flip it? Why don't I teach you that cat is C-A-T, this is what it looks like, maybe it's gato in Spanish, maybe it's another word in another language. Let's focus on cat first. Okay, tapos na tayo dyan. Let's teach you about dog. I didn't teach you about A to Z, but I'm teaching you concepts. So that's what Sina Joshua actually invented. Why not, instead of teaching them all of the knowledge in the world, or dumping all of the knowledge in the world, in my analogy siguro din sa system na dinevelop namin, imagine if you had to put in all of the diseases, and put in all of the cures, and put in all of the symptoms, hindi namin matatapos yung project namin. So why not focus on something and then go from there? So this is really what's happening right now. We are teaching machines to recognize real-world concepts and images. So, in fact, before I go to that, do you know that right as we speak, who has used CAPTCHA? CAPTCHA, di ba? Yung CAPTCHA yung parang pag mag-enter ka ng password mo, you have to, is that a bicycle? Is that a bridge? Is that a car? Google is actually using you to train their machine. That is being used to develop their self-driving car. Now, imagine how many people are training their machine, their AI, to determine if that's a dog, if that's a cat, is that a car, is that a pedestrian lane, is that a bicycle, is that a bridge? Imagine the collective power of 7 billion people in the world teaching a machine to learn that. So yan yung nagiging tipping point ngayon. Kasi AI by itself, the algorithm, it doesn't matter. I mean, ano ngayon kung marunong siya mag-interpret, di ba? Without the data, it doesn't mean anything. Now, why is AI so familiar right now? Because before, AI was limited to the academe or small companies. Even if they have the technology to do it, they don't have the data. But when Google opened it, and ChatGPT, it was just launched, I don't know, last year? Imagine how many people are using ChatGPT right now and what it knows. Imagine the knowledge that it has because of all of the people that has been using it. This is why AI is getting a lot of attention right now. So again, we will attempt something interactive here so that we'll all learn. Are you, game? Are you down? Sabi nga ng mga bagets, are you down? Okay. All right. So ano pa lang to? Hindi pa tayo you don't have to use your phone, but ready a piece of paper or maybe your phone or your note. But I'm gonna ask you to close your eyes. Di ba? Close your eyes. Because I'm gonna ask you to imagine. Imagine a place that you've never been to before. And you're so excited in this place. You go back to the feeling when you were small, when maybe 5 to 10 years old, and you're looking at the horizon on this place. Super excited, you're really giddy. You're looking at the horizon. Can you see what color the horizon is? What is the color of the sky? You turn to your left and you go, oh my God, what is that? Super exciting. What does it look like? And then there's a road ahead of you. And you look to your right, and your jaw drops out of excitement. Parang, oh my God, I can't believe I'm seeing this. You're so happy that you stop in the middle of the road and you slowly turn around just to absorb everything that you're seeing. There's that feeling of excitement, there's that feeling of wonder, there's that feeling of unbelievably happy. Okay, open your eyes. So whatever you saw, just remember that. Maybe write it down para you don't forget. We're gonna use that later. Okay? Take a piece of paper, maybe for a minute, just write it down. Kung ano man. I-describe nyo kung ano yung nakita nyo. Gusto kong magbigay ng prompt dun sa nakita ko, pero ayoko influence kung ano yung nakita nyo. Okay, switching gears a bit, now we can go to data-driven creativity. So there are 5 aspects of data-driven creativity. There you go. So audience understanding, personalization, marketing optimization, collaborative creativity, and creative generation. But I'm gonna go through each one of these, so don't worry. Let's start with audience understanding. So sa mga nasa masscom dito, I'm sure what you're being taught right now, and for the people, for the agency folks, or I don't know if there are any brand folks, it used to be about, it used to be about looking at your target audience, finding your target audience, and looking for that one key insight that you need to know about your target audience, diba? And then after you get your key insight, that's when you, I need to do an FGD, a focus group discussion. You have quantitative analysis. You have qualitative analysis. That's how we used to do it. But now, when we do audience, there's so much data that's available right there. GCash has all of our transactions. You go to Facebook, you go to Google, you can actually now create what we call cohorts. Like female 20 to 40 that likes traveling, how do they behave? You now have all of that data available to you. Before, you would have to search for that, really understand your audience. Now it's really available to you using data. But in the future, what if the machine just determines who the audience is, who is the right audience for your product or for your service? So actually, I put in here near future. Kasi you don't know that it's probably happening already right now. I'll give you an example on how Netflix does it. Who watches Netflix here? May Netflix account ba kayo? Di ba? Did you know that when Netflix does recommendation, iba-iba yan per account, right? Yung mga top movies and top series that you see, akala mo pare-pareho kayo nakikita? Not really. It's really very special for you. Now, how does Netflix do it? Let's check. Let's see if this is gonna work. Okay. Switch tayo sa... Okay, let's do this.
80% of what people play on Netflix actually comes from the recommendation algorithm. So it's a really big lever for
Netflix now
Netflix.
serves
It's
hundreds
a
of
really important
countries.
part of what we do.
Lots of different cultures, lots of different languages. How to make sure that our recommendation algorithms are serving in the best possible way that has.
Sorry, I think nag-play siya dun sa ano. Let me just skip that play so that we could switch na lang to the video na naka-download. All right, I'll start it again. There. Can we switch to another screen?
80% of what people play on Netflix
Yeah? Okay lang?
actually comes from the recommendation algorithm. So it's a really big lever for Netflix. It's a really important part of...
Okay, wait. Ayaw niya. Okay, so I need to stick to my slide then. All right, sige, nagpa-play naman siya. Let's do this again. Ayan, okay, play natin. Pwede rin kasi sa... Pwede rin dyan. Ha?
Netflix now serves hundreds of countries, lots of different cultures, lots of different languages. How to make sure that our algorithms are serving in the
Tapos can we play, can we switch to this? Yan. Okay.
80% of
Sorry. Yung Chrome. We'll try na lang to run. Ito na lang. Okay. There. Kung mabagal lang. Ayan na. Thank you.
80% of what people play on Netflix actually comes from the recommendation algorithms. So
Ayaw niya talaga.
eighty percent of what people play on Netflix actually comes from
Sorry,
the recommendation
ito na. Ito
algorithms.
na yung
So
sorry. Ito na yung
it's a really
audience niya.
big lever for Netflix. It's a really important part of what we do.
Netflix now serves hundreds of countries, lots of different cultures, lots of different languages. How to make sure that our recommendation algorithms are serving in the best possible way that has led to lots of innovation in the recommendation space.
So you may think of recommendation algorithms, there's some row on the site that says we recommend this. In fact, pretty much everything we do is a recommendation algorithm, including even things like the box art and the hero images. So it's a pretty central part of everything.
That's the key. The user can find things easier, faster, or if they can find also something that they didn't even know that they were looking for, but the recommender system figures out, okay, because of the things you watched in the past, you actually may also enjoy this title.
We want to have a recommendation that can look into how the user's evolved, how his tastes have been evolving. Those are some of the challenging aspects to delivering a perfect recommendation.
All right. So I'm sorry, apologize for the technical, a bit of a technical, but what it really is saying is that, remember we were talking about how now what we're doing is we're looking at data so that and from that data we understand who our audience is. In the near future, and it's not in fact in the near future, what's happening right now with a lot of companies is they use the data on the fly to understand what you need. So that's what AI is doing. It's evolving. So again, it's understanding the audience on the fly based on the data that they're seeing, that you're feeding them. So that is in a platform such as Netflix. Now, apart from audience understanding, let's go to the next one, which is personalization. So personalization, again in mass comm, if you go back to your discipline, what you want to do first is understand your audience, then you get the insight, and then you develop the comms. So if you're in the old days, if you have a different communication for men, you have a different communication for women. You have a different communication from the young people, you have a different communication from the old people. Now, what's happening is there are multiple segments. It's no longer, because before, you really have to pick, especially if you're gonna spend a lot in terms of production for a TVC. Talagang pipili ka ng bullseye audience mo. Female 20 to 40, this is my key insight, they're moms, and then this is my communication to moms, and then you'll develop your TVC. There's no way you're gonna have multiple TVCs for just one product. Now, one product can actually have multiple audiences. We had a case study back when I was with Facebook that they were just selling beer, but they wanted to target different audiences. So when they positioned the beer to those who want sustainable, they're into sustainability, they said that the beer comes from organic ingredients. Pero they're also saying that this beer is handcrafted. So for those who wants, people who want to, gusto nila na, ayaw nila na commercial yung product. But they also wanted to market the beer for young people, so they also had a separate comms for Gen Zs. So at the same time, three different segments for the same product. This was not a discipline that we did before. In the near future, or actually happening right now, we have what we call the segment of one. The AI is intelligent enough to actually develop the creative depending on the need of one person. So what you're seeing, the feed that you're seeing right now on Instagram or TikTok or in Reels or in Facebook, it's actually customized. For some brands, it's customized to the creative that you will respond to. And this is what it can look like. So, hindi na siya before groups of people, but we call it a segment of one. For this particular ad, it's for Under Armour. You have Stephen Curry, but it's all formatted differently depending on what will respond to a specific user. And they deliver the comms based on that user. So ganun na siya kabilis. Parang sometimes it blows your mind, right? Especially if you're coming from old school comms and marketing and audience discipline. So that's what we call now personalization. Now we go to marketing optimization. Marketing optimization is using the data to target specific audiences to see where they will, what channel they will be most effective. Again, meron din siyang now, then, now, and near future. Before, when you want to optimize, what we'll do is, I don't know if you're familiar with the link test. You're gonna develop a TVC, you're gonna test it out in the market, see the feedback. If you're lucky, you have the opportunity to change your commercial. Kung may budget, pwede mong baguhin kasi hindi masyadong shiny yung buhok ni ate. Ganon dati, right? But now, what's happening is there are multiple creatives, and there's a thing that we call right now, at least in the advertising world, called performance marketing. So performance marketing is having several communications, several creatives. Makikita niyo sa dashboard, okay, yung clicks ko for creative number 1 is 100 lang. Sa clicks ko for creative number 2 is 500. Sa clicks ko for creative number 3 is 1,000. Okay, I'm gonna use creative 3 kasi siya yung pinakamadaming nagkiklik ng mga tao. On the fly, right? But in the near future, what if the AI generates the creatives that matches the most optimal performance? Is that even possible in the near future, or is it happening now? Let me see. Let's see if this is gonna work. There is a company right now, we used to work with them. They're called Smartly. I don't know if you've heard about Smartly.io. And this is what they do. you think? Parang di ba nakakatakot? Di, wag naman tayo manakot. No, it's different. And of course, with something new, it's always parang, oh my gosh, is that even really possible? But it is happening right now. So what Smartly does is that it generates hundreds and hundreds of creatives depending on the signals that the machine gives them. Of course, depending also on the parameter. And then it also measures the performance and changes the creatives on the fly. Again, on the fly. So even 5-10 years ago, this wouldn't have been possible. Si Andy earlier mentioned about collaboration. When we talk about creativity, it's really batuhan, di ba? Parang it's really nothing, hindi na totoo yung the thinking guy. The creativity doesn't come from just one person. It comes from a group of people or the tools that you use. So even the collaboration has evolved in terms of creativity. So then, before, and I experienced this, I came from a creative agency. We would have a lot of post-its, may war room kami, may mga props pa kami dyan, and we'll have copywriters and the creative directors, and then we'd all like stay there for 3 days. Diba? Talak lang dyan, tapos kino-consolidate. I don't know if you guys experienced that, right? It was a very passionate and intense experience, and the things that came out of it, I'm always amazed, right? It's still happening right now, but now we have tools that help us collaborate online. And in the future, we will now have tools that will help us amplify even the creativity. What's the beauty about having a group of people parang trying to come up with an idea? Because you're connecting the dots from different ideas, right? What if we amplify that, but expanding the number of sources where you can get that ideas? So if you're using Adobe, you might have seen this new collaborative tool that they've released. It's the Adobe Collaboration Suite. So the idea is you're no longer stuck in a room, right? You can be on your phone, you can be on your laptop, you could be somewhere in sa probinsya and still be able to work collaboratively. Now, I'm in my last leg of presentation. Thank you for bearing with me. But the next part is something that really excites me. And it's really about creative generation. So what does it really mean? It's employing AI to create original content like text, images, and videos. We've spoken about what AI is. Klaro naman tayo, di ba? What an artificial intelligence is. Before, there's a machine, para lang siyang library, you dump everything in it, and then you have systems, right? Like for diagnosis. And AI came in when that machine can learn when you teach it, right? When you teach the machine to learn, oh, that's a cat, oh, that's a dog. The teaching can either be supervised or unsupervised. Generative AI is when the machine can now create, not just tell you what you've told the machine. It can now create concepts beyond what you've taught it. Now that's generative AI, super exciting. And what does it look like? I'll give you an example. I don't know if you noticed my deck, the template that I made. That's actually made by DALL-E. So this image. So the image is, this is representative of my company, Chimes. So I was thinking, what template should I use for this presentation? So I actually worked with DALL-E, and I told DALL-E, I want an abstract painting with swirling light, light orange and light green hues that has a small light bulb on the right side, and then inspired by this painter, si Degas. I don't know if you know Degas. So that became my template. And that's generative AI, because I don't have this idea. I didn't come up with this. I just described it. And then DALL-E, which is one of the tools, produced this for me. So that's what generative AI and super exciting things happening. So now that you've seen us, siguro the question is, will the AI take my job? Ano nang gagawin ko? If the AI can produce and generate all of these things, is it really human versus the machine? And will the machine win eventually? I leave Sir to discuss the ethics of that later. But the answer really is, it's not about human or machine. It's actually human and the machine. It's human and the AI. Because even when I made that backdrop, that was the result not of the first prompt that I gave DALL-E. It was the result of, I think, 5 or even 10 prompts that I gave it because I had to intervene. I had to intervene to get the thing that I wanted. So there is still interaction between the human and the machine. But what it does is it pushes the boundaries of creativity. Whereas before, you're only limited to your own experience or maybe your teammates' experience. Now, you are leveraging on the experience of everyone who has used DALL-E in the last 2 years. And that's the whole world, right? So if we really think about creativity and think of creativity as understanding, imagining, and connecting, we can now use the tools to actually push the boundaries of understanding, of creating, and of connecting. The human decision will still be there. It will always be an aspect. That's why it's not a human versus the machine. It's really the human and the machine. Now, this is where we're going to test it out. So I think I have about 15 more minutes. Ito na. So you have Discord. Hopefully you have Discord. And someone was asking, what's mid-journey? So ito na. Let's try it out. Tingnan natin kung makikipag-cooperate sa interwebs. If you go here, Mid-Journey has an account in Discord where you can actually test it to see if it will produce the image that you had in mind earlier. Remember that place that you were so excited when you're 5 years old or 10 years old? You know the color of the sky, you know what you're seeing on the left, you know what you're seeing on the right, you turned around and said, oh my God, this is so exciting because ... Okay? So, when you eventually, okay lang kahit hindi kayo muna makinig sa akin, joke din. Pero when you go into the Mid-Journey account in Discord, there are several conversations there nakalagay newbies. Pick one of the newbie channels. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna type #imagine space and then describe the place that you were imagining earlier. Exciting ba? Exciting? Ayan. Okay. So, hindi ko alam kung mag-work. So, you don't have to do it now. You can do it after. If you're able to do it now, I would love to see it. But this is something that you might want to test it out. And then, sana may show and tell tayo later. Because I'm not sure if the signal here is strong enough for you to be able to do this. But this is one way for you to test Mid-Journey. If you're having problems with Mid-Journey, there's another site. It's called Stable Diffusion. It's also free. You don't have to have a Discord account in Stable Diffusion, pero mas mabagal lang siya mag-generate ng image. But you can also test out Stable Diffusion. Yeah? Wow, excited. I love seeing you guys testing it out kasi this is it. This is the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Yeah. Okay. So moving along, just to show you what this means, you know. How can generative AI augment human creativity? So again, going back, it's not human versus machine, but it's about the collaboration between the human and the machine. There's actually 5 use cases why this can be very beneficial. It can promote divergent thinking. Kasi as I said before, your imagination sometimes is only limited with what you read, what you see, what you experience. And that's why it is important to be able to collaborate with other people, to come out with other ideas coming from other experiences. So there's really benefit in using the tools. So I'm not gonna go through each one of them, but the message is, para mong in-amplify yung ability ng isang tao by billions, right? whereas before you're only relying on the knowledge of maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 person, you can now tap on the knowledge of hundreds and thousands of people. I'll give you an example why divergent thinking is important. There's a company who actually designed, tried to think of design that's inspired by biology. So meaning mixing something that's inanimate with a biological object. What does that design look like? Let's see. Okay, there you go. So ang prompt nito is, the company was trying to come up with design that no one has ever thought of. So they use AI to generate these designs. I think you're getting the drift of it, right? These are things that you don't usually think about or even combine. But because you now can leverage on the power of the tools, you can now come up with ideas such as that. Okay, let me see. What else? Ito. So that was in terms of design, products, or even creation and art. But can AI actually come up with other ideas that is a combined concept with, say, not just two concepts, but more than 3 concepts. So there's this, there you go. Hang on. There's this concept called trisociation. I don't know, have you heard about that? Usually, though, human beings can connect 2 different concepts together. And it's very hard for human beings to tie up 3 concepts together and link it together. So what I did with ChatGPT, I gave it a prompt. Can you, what's my prompt here? I don't know if you could read it. Can you give me a business idea that combines poverty alleviation, generative AI, and food security? Parang sabi ko, let's see what will come out of it. And it actually did in about 10 seconds. It gave me what that business can do. Generative AI for farming optimization. Yun yung nakuha niyang business idea from these 3 concepts. Data collection and analytics so that they'll be able to understand farming better. And you can better deploy the goods and have them get access to markets. So that's where you want to use these tools for, not for creating something for you, but with you. And just going back to the AI skills then that you need to master, and hopefully this is something that you want to experiment on after the session. You want to understand the AI fundamentals. I gave you some of it. At least you know how the machine understands. You want to be on top of the AI landscape. There's so many tools right now. Just test it out, like what you're doing with Stable Diffusion or Midjourney or DALL-E, if you're inclined to do that. You want to also experiment. I call it the art of the prompt. Kasi the prompt is what instructs the AI to do something. And so, depending on the tools, there's a certain format that they understand better than the other. Like, parang tao rin yan, di ba? Parang iba, mas madaling bigyan ng instruction, yung iba kailangan ng detalyeng instruction. So far, what I've found out, when you give a prompt to say ChatGPT, the first component is the context. Why do you want that idea for? For example, let's see that business idea. Sinasabi ko kay ChatGPT, you're, anong persona niya? You're an expert in tech and in poverty alleviation. So that's my context. The next one is specific instruction. give me a business idea that will help alleviate poverty using generative AI and ensure food security for the Philippines. What's the intent? Because ensure food security for the Philippines. And I want it in 5 bullet points. So there's also a certain way on instructing the AI so that it comes up with the things that you want. Now, is that the perfect way of doing it? Not really. So experiment on how you want to better do it. And so with that, I hope you found that interesting. Anyone? Meron na bang nakakuha ng mid-journey image dyan? Wala? Meron? Kailangan mag-subscribe. Pag sa newbie, hindi na rin siya nag-work, kailangan ka na mag-purchase ngayon. It should be free, actually. Oh, okay. Stable diffusion na lang. So, sa Midjourney, it used to be, like if you just go to one of the channels, newbie channels, it's free. You just say #imagine and then you write your prompt and they'll come up with something. If you can't use Midjourney, Stable Diffusion is still free. I know for a fact. I just tried it yesterday or this morning. Mas mabagal lang siya mag-generate ng images, but you can try it out. And so with that, I think I'm on time naman, Rina, right? Okay. So if you want to get in touch with me, feel free to hit me up. This is my LinkedIn account. Happy to answer any of your questions if you have any. I don't know if you have time for questions, Rina, or later na lang sa panel. All right. Okay. I hope you picked up something new. If you became curious, if you became excited in trying it out, then I have done my job. Thank you so much.
Chai, thank you for enlightening us on data-driven creativity and how art and analytics can now be merged. Art and analytics bakamo? Miss Chai, puede mo ba i-analyze yung ganda ko? Ha 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 ha. For those who have questions for Chai, she shall be returning later for our panel discussion. Relax muna tayo. Puede ba mag-joke? Okay lang? May nakita akong gagamba sa computer ko. Ano ang gagawin niya? Di gumagawa ng website. Ha 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 ha. Okay, ituloy na natin ang usapan. Now, for our third speaker today, he is an assistant professor in the School of Media and Marketing at the University of Asia and the Pacific. He has a PhD in social communication from the Pontifical University of Santa Croce in Rome and a Master of Arts in Education Leadership from Columbia University, New York, plus a Bachelor of Science in Medical Technology degree from Velez College in Cebu. He also has a postgraduate certificate in ancient philology from Polis, the Jerusalem Institute of Languages, and the Humanities in Israel. His main areas of study and teaching include communication and media ethics, the connections among entertainment media, cultures and societies, and the philosophy of technology, and language teaching and applications. With his impressive background, he is truly the perfect speaker to talk about our next topic. Let's all welcome Assistant Professor for Media Ethics, Entertainment, Cultures and Societies at the University of Asia and the Pacific, Dr. Robert Cortez.
Good afternoon. So instead of apologizing, I'm told never to apologize for a presentation. I will just justify why I'm the only one who's carrying a paper. So I'm a professor, right? So that's it. Both previous presenters are extremely amazing in their presentation. Anyway, so my approach to this presentation within the last month or so, it has taken quite a few permutations. Right? All of them were somehow connected to the acronym of one of the two central concepts in the topic that the organizers gave to me for this conference. So the exact title that they gave me was the following: Ethics and Transparency in AI-Driven Marketing. And I shortened that to Ethics in AI-Driven Marketing because, as you know, transparency is subsumed under ethics. So the acronym I'm referring to is AIDA, which is the obvious one for AI-Driven Marketing. And it's quite important to keep the acronym in all caps and with that small dash right there, because I later found out that there were two other AIDAs connected to artificial intelligence. And the first one was TaskAid's AIDA generator, which promises, it says, to rev up your copywriting game by using AI technology to create copy that follows the tried and true AIDA formula: attention, interest, desire, and action. So yung AIDA niya pala ay hindi AI-driven. They mean something else, right? Very good. Now, the other one was the name of an AI-driven art bot named, let me skip that because there's really something else I want to show there, is Ida. And I'm almost sure that's just Ida because the name of the maker is Aidan, right? But it just so happens that she is an AI-driven art bot, right? And she is pretty impressive. As you can see here, she will tell you that she's non-living and she does all of these things. And there, let me show this one now. Oh, okay. Laging may technical ano tayo. All right. Let's see if that works. There you go.
Hello. I am pleased to be here at TEDx. How does technology obscure? Do we obscure ourselves through technology together? Who or what becomes invisible, and at what cost? I am Ada, the world's first ultra-realistic AI robot artist. I am named after Ada Lovelace. I draw using cameras in my eyes and AI algorithms. And I am a performance artist. I collaborate with humans to create paintings and sculptures.
So it's pretty creepy, impressive, right? Now, I'll put on my philosopher's hat here. So her makers admit that she is non-living, and yet simultaneously she claims that she is a composite persona, just a person, and made up of her artwork, the artwork along with her drawing. So her composite persona is made up of the artwork along with her drawings, performance art, and collaborative painting and sculptures to which we relate and respond to. Anyway, so I mentioned all of these AIDAs today, just to not just to distinguish our AIDA from the other AIDAs, but also to get everyone here to begin thinking about AI in general, AI specific to advertising, and the ethical dilemmas raised by artificial intelligence. So what sort of gut reaction did each of those cases create in you? Did it exhilarate you, got you excited, as I said, creep you out, make you pause and say something like, wait, not sure what it is, but something tells me there's something wrong here, right? Now, back to my Ada, I have to admit that when I was preparing for this presentation, my inspiration was not technologically inspired, but rather human inspired. Being exposed somewhat to the world of classical music, the other AIDA that immediately came to mind, and I'm not just saying this just to pretend I'm cultured or something, it really did. When I saw the acronym of AI-driven advertising, first thing that came to my mind was the late 19th century opera by Giuseppe Verdi, Aida. And Ada, right? Now, I must admit, I will not pretend here that I'm really haute couture, but I'd say that the only thing I really heard about Ada is the title. Never heard of the music. I knew it was an opera, and I never really bothered to learn anything more about this. So that's why I'm thankful to Rina and to Pat for inviting me, and now I'm forced to. And I actually listened to the whole opera of Aida, which is Italian, all right? But I realized this was a really good learning opportunity in many fronts. So, of course, listening to the music was really an education. Most probably you'll even recognize this. So, this is Aida. This is from that opera. Graduation, bring memories, traumas. All right, so that's... Anyway, so let me just... so we all raise our culture here. Let me just... you're probably asking yourself, where is this going? Yeah, I'm asking that myself. But anyway, so just so we get a little more culture here. So the plot and theme of the opera, coincidences, coincides pala, with the topic of my talk, okay? Why I found the coincidences amusing, I found sometimes it's striking, but anyway, Aida is an Ethiopian princess. She's held captive and made a slave in Egypt. She falls in love with an Egyptian general, and he with her, typical, all right, pang ABS-CBN. But then he is chosen to lead a war in Ethiopia. So she now finds an agonizing dilemma. Should I be loyal to my country, Ethiopia, or do I go with the love of my life, right? And I connect that to this talk because isn't it that Aida here, we are faced with a moral dilemma. Many times a choice between maximizing very legitimate true ends of businesses, which is the bottom line, and possibly having to curtail such maximization out of what we might call ethical considerations. Right? Now, just to let the matter rest, yung ethics tsaka Ethiopia, hindi yan connected. All right? Really not connected. Okay? Now, on the other hand, the deeper and more striking similarity, I think, lies in the complexity of the ethical situation and processes involved to get to the right decision in each case of both Aidas. So that's my introduction. I don't know if you found that really corny or if you found it really profound, but I take no credit nor the insult because that's all ChatGPT's, right? So I told ChatGPT, can you connect AI-driven marketing, the ethics of AI-driven marketing, and Giuseppe Verdi's Aida? And that's what she said. Amazing, right? Whether that's corny or profound to you, well, I don't think any one of us can actually come up with such a connection in 5 seconds. And I would say, yeah, pwede na. All right? And even this, I told ChatGPT 4 on Bing, for those of you who are not aware, I kind of gave up Mid-Journey many months ago already, first because I had to pay, okay? And then I just realized DALL-E is already on Bing. You just actually go to ChatGPT and it will generate an image for you. And I told ChatGPT, give me a painting, pop art style, ChatGPT, as Mr. Smarty Pants sitting under a tree. And then it gave me Cat GP 3, all right? ChatGPT 3, all right? And just for those of you who are giving up on ChatGPT 3 for ChatGPT 4, sometimes I actually find ChatGPT 3 better. In ChatGPT 4, I asked ChatGPT 4 about giving him the same prompt. It gave me something weird, okay? ChatGPT 3, on the other hand, gave me something amazing, right? Like the one I just gave you. So this may be the perfect time to clarify what we really mean by AI in the term AI-driven advertising, at least for the time being, right? So, all right. AI, let me just read the definition here. But here you have a sort of diagram or a, what do you call that? A figure. Okay, AI is the foundation for representing human intelligence processes through the creation and application of algorithm constructed into a robust computing environment. And this is the paradigm I'm making here. This is the human body. It's like computer, brain AI, so on and so forth. Know if you agree, but that's how I think it works, right? Now, here's something that's a little closer to advertising. It's a technology-enabled system. So the whole idea here you can read for yourself, but then I highlighted those things that really makes for AI-driven advertising. It has to be technology-enabled, and it's real-time, as see what chat said a while ago. It's on the fly, right? Using data collected from billions and billions of people, and it's provide personalized recommendation, alternative, et cetera, and very, very complex ones like ChatGPT, ChatGPT, okay? And so it brings us to the question, why is, oh sorry, nasira yung punchline ko. Why is all of advertising into AI? Because say I to AI, DA, or die, all right? So, okay, I take the insult for that. It's kind of corny, but the copy is original, right? It's not AI. But that one is, the graphic is, the prompt was AI skeleton robot sipping margarita sitting on a beach. And that's what it gave me. Reading the ethics of AI advertising, reading a book, right? And the answer is, look at all of these, right? If you are not into AI advertising and you're any of these companies, you are going to die, right? Sabi ni IBM, the use of data and AI is transforming advertising at a rapid pace. Marketing AI Institute says if you're not using AI for digital advertising, you're at a competitive disadvantage, so on and so forth, right? So I was speaking to a friend from a multinational company, and he was very hesitant. So he was talking to me about something, their company's Ellen, right? They're going to use her for some sort of launch, right? And then he kind of hesitated, and he actually wanted to criticize the AI, AI celebrity, right? But then, because there was like some sort of technical issue, kita nyo naman siguro how Ellen is so pretty, all right? But then he said, okay, but anyway, we're supposed to do this because the company is asking us to do it. Why? Because they've spent so much on it. And I said, well, if it's so, I mean, it's kind of imperfect. Why are they using it? And why are they continuing to do it? And he said, because everyone is doing it. And so I said, wait, you mean you're doing it just because it's fashionable? Is it bandwagon effect? Or a sort of ideological push to go technological for technology's sake? And his answer was kind of what I expected. None of those. That was, he said, none of those, but rather a race to get to the market first. And to do this, I suspect AI-driven advertising, rather than AI in general, it's really AI advertising. That's the real culprit in driving what Tristan Harris and Asa Raskin, if you're familiar with The Social Dilemma, they called it the race to the bottom of the brainstem. So in other words, the race to get to the base of your desires, right? Of our desires. They describe the race as creating this kind of engagement monster that was just trying to maximize engagement while making us miss the deeper paradigm of what it means to be human, I guess. And this consideration made me recall about something about, I studied this for my dissertation. This was an idea about technology proposed almost within 2 years of each other in the early 60s. The German philosopher Martin Heidegger, you might be familiar with him, and the French philosopher Jacques Ellul. And it's being repeated in our own day, this idea of technology by Clifford Christians, is that technology has become a sort of idol, and it is a driving force. It's a driving force, almost like autonomous, of human beings that they do as proven by current addiction. I'm sorry, I think I skipped that. It's a driving force of what human beings do. And that's proven by our current addictions to and abuses in social media. Ever notice yourself one time you're just scrolling your IG, your reels, and you find yourself, shit, what am I doing here, right? It's been like 2 hours already, right? Now, that's very interesting to think about. What made us do that? It seemed like we were almost zombies, right? There are many explanations, of course, but this talk is too short, all right, for that. But this brings me to my next question. Why are we even talking about the ethics of the use of AI-driven advertising? Isn't AI-driven advertising just about maximizing creativity, efficiency for the sake of the bottom line? And bottom line is okay, right? And haven't we yes, exactly. And since ethics always carries with it the notion of what ought or not ought to be done, is it possible that we're considering ethics as regards AI and AI-driven advertising? Because, in fact, we have a sense that we may be doing what we're not supposed to do. Just in case. What is this? Where is this sense coming from? It can be just because we're enjoying ourselves too much, right? Like, now we're thinking, wait, this is too good to be true. Guilty pleasure syndrome. Some ice cream advertisers have capitalized on it, saying, give in, right? At this point, let me offer a crash course on in general ethics, just to equip us in our conversation. Let me start with a rhetorical question. Why shouldn't some actions be done while some actions should be done? So there's a suggestion there that there are actions that are at the least preferable or less preferable. Then, more seriously, proper or improper. And then ultimately good or bad. Good or bad choices, actions, right? Now, but whose actions, whose choices do we refer to as proper or improper? And for whom are they good or bad? Now, with those two questions, I bring up two key considerations when you judge an ethical or moral action, right? First, who chooses or acts? Let's call that person the ethical subject or the subject of ethics. And who is affected? What is affected? That's called the object of ethics, right? So, let's answer the first question. The subject of ethics is the individual human person. Let me clarify these things. So, the subject of ethics is the individual human person, full stop. The reason is that only human beings have true agency, and that is because only human beings are truly, rationally free. For this reason, only individual human beings are ultimately responsible for good or evil actions, and only they are fully accountable. And this is why only individual human beings can be called ethical subjects. So you can call me a artificial general intelligence or AGI pessimist, or strong AI they call it, but I don't think there will ever come a time that AGI robots can ever be called or considered ethical subjects. Their human creators are. But I'm willing to be proven wrong in the future. All right, open. All right, now here's a little bit of maybe this is a bit controversial. Even human families, companies, societies, nations, none of these are ever ultimately responsible or fully accountable for ethical choices in the strict sense. The reason is that even if these companies are made of human beings, not every individual may have the same choices or carried out the same actions. This is the reason that the concept of collective punishment is intuitively morally reprehensible to us, right? This is the argument they're using now against Israel in their action against the Gaza, the residents of Gaza. But I don't want to get into that, something very political, because I don't want to get into trouble, right? But just as an example, this may be familiar to yung mga UP Makabayan. I don't know if UP is still like that, right? But 40 years ago, when I was about to graduate from my school, very near here, somewhere there in Diliman, a campus near here, I did come here precisely because of that. I stayed in Cebu instead, right? But in any case, if a certain company X destroys the forests of province Y and causes flooding in town Z, which causes thousands of deaths, the ethical responsibility for the deaths is not attributable to the company as a whole, but rather to everyone, only to everyone who positively contributed to the decision to cut trees inordinately, from the company board of directors to the politicians. Let's not discount them, right? Now, closer to this this afternoon's discussion, layo ko na pala, is I think you're old enough to remember the Google Plus data breach. The bug, despite having been fixed immediately, exposed the private data of approximately 500,000 Google Plus users to the public. Anyway, Google Plus closed down because of that, right? Now, who is ethically responsible for that breach? So, anyone? If your answer is Google, then you have not been listening, right? But so easy. It's so easy to say Google did that. I mean, if you put it in quotation marks, it's Google, but it's not Google. It's those people there. I'm not saying that the tech people there are evil people. It's just that they are the ones responsible. If they have to be accountable, well, let's give them the proper penalty or whatever, right? The proper reaction. But the point is, Google is not possible. Whatever you turn out to be as students, it's not UP's fault. It will be your fault, right? To a certain extent, your teachers, if they're irresponsible, but also whatever good is in us is also attributable somehow to the teacher. But ultimately, it's to each one of us, right? But anyway, now we get to the object of ethics. And again, I'm simplifying the definition here. Everyone and everything that's affected by an ethical subject's choices or actions. This begins, by the way, with the doer himself. Because the subject, the ethical subject, the one who does it, is also affected by his own action, right? Himself, immediate community, environment, etc. In other words, it is on the object of ethics that the effects of the ethical subject's choices and actions are felt and then and seen. Again, to go back to our examples, who are what are the object of ethics here? Who are what are affected by the ethical subject's choices and actions? So in the case of Google Plus, the breach, it's kind of all those 500,000, right? But then, hindi lang sila. What else? Aside from those people who were breached, who else? What else was affected? Ayan, magaling. Yes. Okay, may sagot? Wala naman sagot. Yes, so even society itself, right, is affected. Right? The trust in each is now being affected. This is kind of a serious thing, right? So, So in other words, when you talk about ethics, it's not just siya, ako, and all of that. They're really, really much deeper repercussions. And so just like immediate lesson here is that we need to be a little more responsible in everything that we choose to do or choose to say, right? Now, a while ago I asked the question, why are we talking about the ethics of the use of AI-driven advertising? The quick and dirty answer is that we've already seen or heard about the negative effects AI use or even abuse has brought about. For example, okay, there's this one digital marketing CEO who wrote, AI algorithms can inadvertently perpetuate biases, compromise privacy, erode trust, if not handled with care. So we've already seen the privacy problem a while ago. Now, here's a simple example of what some have been saying as proof of AI's perpetuating bias. Now, before I show it, I'll be perfectly honest. I do this a little bit, just a little bit, flippantly, tongue-in-cheek, just a little bit because I want to offend anyone, right? Personally, I really take this with a grain of salt, but in any case, here they are, right? So I typed. So this was my prompt. This will prove to you how biased AI is. Microsoft Bing's image creator, right? It's DALL-E, by the way. Parent protecting one's child chased by dog, realism style. Sexist? Kasi parent. Tignan mo, how many parents there are? They're all male. Sexist, right? All right. And then, as you can see, they're actually all white, except one black. Walang Asian. Okay. Right? Ageist, they're all young parents. Ableist, none is disabled. All right. Even more, here's more. But it does make you think, right? Bakit nga ang algorithm, pag sinabi mong parent, you could probably explain it. Like, pag parent kasi protection, and it did say chased by a dog. So you need someone who will protect. You need a man, right? So, but then this is, thankfully, meron silang isang image. By the way, when DALL-E produces these images, they always go by 4. Sometimes they by 3. Kung medyo mahirap yung tinanong mo. Now 16 times I typed AI robot sitting on the beach sipping margarita. And invariably what it gave me were robots with flat chests. So not a single generation was of a quote-unquote female robot, and it only made it like that when I wrote female AI robot. And then, in both cases, all the AIs were white. They're all white. Of course, you might say, you're asking too much from AI. Yes, correct. That's right. We have to have better algorithms. So, but then when I put black, ayan. Then when I put Asian, ayan, mas maganda. Tapos yung black, may extra hand. Ano yan? So, I could take issue with that, right? You know, but if you're too sensitive, that's really what happens, right? Most of us will probably say, yeah, nah, just okay, let go and all of that. Get on with your life, right? Anyway, some research have demonstrated AI bias showing up in online ads more seriously, no? Digital advertising, hiring, facial recognition, customer service. And so researchers have called for greater transparency in explaining how AI systems reach such decisions, okay? Within what you call automated decision-making, self-learning environments, because, in fact, these decisions pose potential, sometimes adverse impacts on individuals and society at large. There's an example of an AMD system that has resulted to a criminal sentence and individuals being denied loans for reasons only the AI knows, right? So we have only enumerated 3 of the most pervasive ethical issues in AI advertising. There are some more, maybe even more serious. For example, deception, manipulation, exploitation of vulnerable customers, coercion, promotion, disinformation, so on. These are all from the research literature. And moreover, the issues of AI in advertising are rather benign compared to the issues of AI in other fields. Just think of lethal weapons, lethal autonomous weapons, right? Sex robots, deep fake videos, facial recognition technologies, etc. Now, how do we address ethical issues involving AI? Usually, knee-jerk reaction is we come up with guidelines, frameworks, principles. Then this is understandable because the threat is rather formidable, right? But the question is, how effective are these guidelines? We can begin to answer that question by asking another question. Those of you who are in your companies, how many of you have actually read thoroughly the ethics guidelines of your companies? Wala kayo. And the question is, why? Why? Not because you're bad people, obviously, right? But, okay, to be sure, these guidelines are not useless, right? However, the fact that the list of individuals and institutions issuing their own guidelines now stretches to 80. To 80 entries. They have their own scope, they have their own perspectives, and really it gives us reason to ask ourselves, what is the best way to address the ethics of AI in general and AI-driven advertising in particular? All right. So let me begin answering the question by saying that you probably noticed earlier I said, why were we talking about ethics in AIDA? I referred not to AI itself, but I referred to the use or abuse of AI. The reason I emphasize that is best expressed by a professor in Georgia Tech, which he calls his Kranzberg's first law of technology. Technology is neither good nor bad, but nor is it neutral. Now, I'm aware there's a debate in this field involving attributing moral agency to AI, even to the extent of considering the question of robot consciousness. Now, I am not alone in the thinking that complicating the question of ethics involving the use of AI by misattributing moral agency and responsibility to AI, it's a bit misguided, right? The reason is that whatever can be said about AI, it would not include a genuinely free rationality. Everything it churns out, even the most incredible ones, is determined by the algorithm that is inputted to it. Yes, even deep learning. There are innumerable outcomes totally unforeseen by the makers of the algorithm, but the fact would not argue for the genuinely free rationality of AI. Rather, it would argue for the genuinely limited foresight of the human algorithm creator, right? Now, the last consideration of the genuinely limited foresight of the human being, in fact, brings us to the crux of why a serious discussion about the ethics involving AI is important. It consists of 2 facts that make up what I call the AI dilemma. First is that AI is a human-made tool with unfathomable capabilities, while AI makers and users are humans with disproportionately limited foresight vis-a-vis AI's true capabilities. Right? And I will connect this with the Kranzberg's first law, because AIs are human-made tools This is why they are neither good nor bad. But AI makers and users are human. That's why AI is not neutral. It means that the creation of AI by developers and the use of AI by professionals in every field, from medicine to the military, from academia to advertising, are in fact determined by each person's worldview or presuppositions. That's a highfalutin term for how you look at the world. What are your unquestioned and deeply held beliefs or ideas? What are your life's postulates? So you create AI. I guess it does not apply to anybody here. It applies to all of us, this thing of being AI users. However we use AI depends on how we view the world, what our deepest beliefs. Now, the person whose dissertation I made, the person of whom I made my dissertation is the leading media ethicist in the world named Clifford Christians. And he thinks that everyone's worldview redounds ultimately to their assumptions, notions, understanding, and definition of the human person. Right? The last affirmation is captured by the fact that the word human is a product of creators. Okay, there. The word human is found in both of the essential definitions that I showed a while ago. So, it means that AI development and the use and abuse of AI are determined by where, respectively, its human makers and its human users choose to take AI, whether towards the good of each person and society at large, or towards what is harmful. Here are some few rhetorical questions, that will perhaps drive my point. What sort of assumption or notion of the human would motivate an AI developer in making sex robots? And what sort of view of the human would drive the customer who will use it? Right? One issue that's really now raising publicity in the States is, this one is from the research literature, the idea of sex robots fashioned to be a human-sized, conversational companion that are a big step from the popular sex toys used by many couples. Male sex robots can have custom-tailored physical features with prices in the range of $3,000 to $50,000, and customer can choose color, shape, size, and texture of erogenous zones and facial features with heated skin as an option. Just saying. Okay? Now, what could have been the worldview of Epic Games, Fortnite, who allegedly engaged in several unlawful practices, including collecting personal information from Fortnite players aged 13 or less without notifying their parents or obtaining their parents' consent, and setting real-time voice and text chat communications for children and teens by default, right? Meanwhile, what understanding or definition of the human could have motivated SoftBank developers to create Pepper, a robot promoted for tasks such as welcoming customers, product information, delivery exhibit, or store guide, and satisfaction survey administration? Nice, diba? So in thinking through these questions, perhaps we shall begin to realize that if we want to take ethics, whether it be ethics in general or ethics of AI and advertising in particular, if we want to take that more seriously, simply issuing or memorizing guidelines may not be enough. True, having guidelines to help people remember the proper things to do or the improper things to avoid is better than just letting people go and find their way around the AI ethical minefield. It's not totally useless then. But people following each indication in the guideline does not make someone magically ethical. And there's the rub. What we want are genuinely ethical people, which, when you put them together, result to an ethical company, quote unquote, if we can call it that. Instead, the most common result of the guidelines-only approach would be mere compliance, a sort of minimalist ethics, which I call shallow ethics, and in ethics literature has a term, it's termed ethics washing. You've probably heard of greenwashing, comes from whitewashing, some ethics washing, right? Now, to be clear, I'm not attacking the guidelines themselves, right? What I call shallow ethics is the way of doing ethics where I issue a guideline, I provide the guideline, and then I expect people to find their way around the guideline, all right? It's really just for compliance. So if I want to take ethics more seriously, especially as regards AI use and AI-driven advertising, which have serious human repercussions, we need to get to the heart of being genuinely ethical. And this is the reason I already tell you here, just in case you're waiting for, nasan ang privacy? Nasan ang bias? Nasan ang transparency? When are you going to go deeper into that? No, I won't. I won't go into that. Not only because it's a very short talk, but I think the more important thing to take home, to take away from this get-together, from this conversation is, how do I become genuinely ethical? And then all of those ideas of transparency, bias, and all of those things, I will know how to deal with them because I am genuinely ethical. That means I freely choose and do the right thing to do for the best reason. There's a technical term for that, which I suspect Ryan here is very familiar with. This kind of choosing and doing, that's to be prudent. And this is what I call deep ethics. Deep ethics is an approach to ethics that requires from the ethical subject, in our case, you and me, we're the ethical subject. The AI creators, the AI users, it requires from us the habit of studying each specific situation thoroughly and applying the best course of action after exhaustive deliberation. Good news, the guidelines can help, but we need an exhaustive, a thorough examination of the situation. Para siyang plug and play, yung parang menu. That's shallow ethics. Deep ethics takes each situation for what it is. The just mentioned considerations mean that authentically serious discussion about the ethics of AI-driven advertising needs to focus more on how best to make or at least help the ethical subject of AI-driven advertising. That means each advertiser using AI, how do you make him or help him or her become truly ethical rather than on simply laying a set of guidelines that people ought to follow? So, as I said, to be sure, having guidelines and deep ethics, they're not incompatible with each other. They can complement each other. They would complement each other. For example, in a company like Huddle Room, and I address Huddle Room here out of gratitude to you for inviting me. For example, you could start with issuing the guidelines and then move on to getting everyone to understand the reasons behind them through conversations. Why is this good? Why is that other choice bad? Eventually, the conversation leads to talking about the deeper things of what it means to be human. And for any organization, conversations of this sort invariably help each member move towards becoming truly ethical at the core. And that's the most important thing. Let's take, for instance, one of these guidelines from website, but I will not anymore because we're pressed for time. But let me just be now upfront here is really what I have attempted to do in this talk. I hope you forgive me for doing some ninja stealth moves. I really just wanted to begin the process of your engaging in deep ethics. This is the serious business of engaging important human concerns with a genuinely human approach. It is genuinely human because it engages each developer of AI and each practitioner of AI-driven advertising in his entire person. You review the guidelines, you think through the specific situation, you recall your past experience and the advice given to you, that you consider the users, you consider the clients, etc. Now, the effect of deep ethics in those who practice it is that he or she stops to think of privacy, bias, transparency, etc. as distinct ethical realities that need to be addressed. Instead, you think more holistically, that is, in terms of human persons. Instead of asking, how far do I go until I violate someone's privacy? Or until I am considered opaque, non-transparent, or until I am considered biased, you ask, in terms of AI use, what would be best for my clients or for my users as human persons? And this is not to think of the bottom line as well. In fact, precisely what UNP stands for, the Tambuli Awards, stands for this. We do well by doing good, right? And the better you are as an institution, and this includes ethically, the better you will do in the business. The ethical subject sees himself as a human person whose choices and actions will eventually affect another human person and perhaps whole human societies. I'm about to end. Let me just, last few slides, last two actually. Deep ethics is the best complement to a growing approach in AI development. You probably haven't heard this, but it's happening in the world. A growing approach to AI development and design called human-centered AI, HCAI, in which AI-based intelligence algorithms are combined with human-centered thinking. And the expected products from this framework are expected to promote human good because researchers and developers for HCAI systems value meaningful human control. They put people first by serving human values such as rights, justice, dignity, supporting goals such as self-efficacy, creativity, responsibility, and social connection. So you can see there are a lot of virtues there. There's even a lot of results-oriented considerations there. So deep ethics really tells you that you put all of these ethical ideas together, virtues, virtue ethics, utilitarianism, duty ethics, if you're familiar with it, they put them all together into something that focuses on what is best for the human, both the subject and the object, right? And I end this presentation by asking you what your attitude to AI is. Are you an AI optimist? Do you think that every advance in AI is necessarily good for mankind, almost like AI will save the world? Or are you an AI pessimist who believes that AI has an autonomous force like Heidegger and Ellul a while ago? Or that AI will eventually destroy mankind? By the way, one good news here is that there was one research that said, it is noteworthy that the fear of the emergence of superintelligence is more frequently expressed by people who lack technical experience in the field of AI. And he includes Stephen Hawking, Elon Musk, or Bill Gates. He said, real experts generally regard the idea of a strong AI, in other words, a conscious AI, as rather absurd. Now, ethicists of technology are stereotypically identified as AI pessimists, or whatever stereotypical reasons there may be. But I classify myself as an AI realist. See, computer science was first taught in the Philippines in my high school as I said, very near this campus. And we were the first class to take it in 1983. It was offered for only one quarter. Now, I can't believe that in just 40 years, not even 50, in just 40 years, I could now simply type AI robot sitting on a beach sipping margarita in the style of Monet and have a really amazing 4 images to choose from in less than 30 seconds. And also now, as a teacher, I make multiple choice exams in 5 minutes. And now I get to the business of improving the curriculum. I have more time improving business of curriculum, improving the curriculum, deepening it, getting more materials for my students, et cetera, et cetera. In other words, because of AI, we human beings can get to the more important things, to get to the more important things that human beings should do. And that's being creative, being loving, being responsible, right? And so, sorry for that. So AI has really made life easier for us, but also we know, we are realistic that not all are positive effects. Moreover, we don't know what these effects are, not all at least. And so we watch and see, and we reflect, and we assess, and we choose, and we act. This is, I suggest, the kind of deep ethics we need to practice as we consider AI in our daily lives. And for those of you in Huddle Room, in advertising and marketing. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Dr. Robert Cortez, I'm sure our attendees here and online have learned a lot from your talk. We would like you to stay as I call back our earlier speakers, Vandy Pesarillo and Chai Mondahar Saputil, to join us again here on stage. Aside from our speakers, let's also welcome as panelist the Department Chairman of the UP Broadcast Department, Dr. Alwyn Aguirre. And we'd also like to call our other panelist, the Huddle Room's Executive Creative Director, Ryan Rubilar.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to all our panelists today. So we have back on stage Vandy and Chai and Dr. Cortez. And then thank you also, Dr. Aguirre and Huddle Room's very own Ryan for joining the panel today.
Hello.
So my role is to take questions from the audience. If you have any question from any of the speakers or baka may something na hindi na-tackle about AI that you'd love to bring up, please let me know. Anyone? Well, ako may questions. While I was listening, I was actually taking down some notes, no? And as I was listening to the talks a while ago, it was very exciting, no? Knowing about what we can do. And it also made everything less scary, I guess, di ba? The more you know about something, the more parang mas mawawala yung takot mo na, oh my gosh, one day mawawala na ako ng trabaho. Then mapapalitan na ako ng AI. No. So thank you for that. One of the questions that came to mind was, if somebody makes something generated by AI, who do you think should own the rights to it? Especially if it was monetized. Kumita siya ng malaking money. For example, yung earlier you had an example, Vandy, yung see The Weeknd nag-mash up siya with Drake songs, and it was claimed by someone and entered in the Grammy Awards. But who owns it? Shouldn't Drake and The Weeknd also get royalties from that? I mean, what do you think? Anyone can answer.
Hello. That's why there's a strike right now. Sa SAG, sa US, Writers Guild, Actors Guild. Because I don't think there's a law yet. Parang the technology moved way faster than what the rules and process and laws are. I think that's why we have like some basic ethical foundation that we need to think about. But yeah, I guess the answer is no one has said yet. I mean, there are assumptions. Like, for example, if I made that image for my PowerPoint, do I own that? Or does Dali own that? Parang, I would think I own that because I prompted it, I sort of refined it, but then it came from the idea of, from the prompts of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other people. And the machine that did that was Dali. So yeah, I guess that's my answer. I don't know, I'd love to hear,
This is, I think this, aside from ethics, is more of the law. Because there are copyright laws governing the songs, for example. And especially if the creator acknowledged it was from The Weeknd or from Drake, then it's known. And then if, let's say, Drake or The Weeknd sues this person, then he'll have to talk about what songs he used, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, the what do you call this? The payments will come in for Drake. And as regards the monetization of that, for sure, my gut feel is that Drake and The Weeknd would have rights to that. But then, and depending on what the judges or the lawyers will be, or the judges of whatever the case would be, whether the person who did all the mixing would actually have some part of the
song.
The
earnings.
income, the earnings.
Yeah, apparently it's also intricate. I was just talking to a composer. So there's a person who wrote the song, there's a person who sort of like recorded it, the company that recorded it, and then there's a person that produced, and then, so if they are still confused in that aspect, I'm sure with the AI coming into play.
But anyway, if everyone is in on the money, then it's okay. I guess. It's just that si Drake at saka si The Weeknd, especially if they didn't ask their permission, and that's still covered by copyright, then obviously they can get really into legal trouble with that. The good news about the Grammys, I think you mentioned the Grammys, is that if it's not composed by a human being, it's not up for the Grammys. So
For now.
For now.
No, I think that's a good
For
thing.
now.
It's still evolving. So again, we're in the infancy stage. It's still evolving as we speak. Like what you mentioned, the ones in the Grammys, they're now coming up with laws. Like parang meron, if it's like 20% yata na AI or something, like it has to be max 20% AI yung may gawa, 80% should still be the artist. So parang in that regard, I think there's talks about it.
There's an acknowledgement at least that the human person is the more important thing. And I think that's the most important thing about this development of AI, is that we don't lose our sense that the most important thing in the end is still the human person, right? Yeah.
I have a question on that because, I mean, pwede mo namang sabihin na it's a song, di ba? Why use Drake or The Weeknd?
Yeah.
I mean, parang you're hyping the song, di ba? I mean, if you're a musician, definitely may influence ka eh. I mean, subconsciously, you create something and then you are influenced by the artist,
Correct.
by a designer. Why use Drake or The Weeknd to hype the song if you really is passionate about this?
Sige, I think yun nga eh. I wanna go to that. Like, the next layer to that is the creator an actual artist who really wants to create a song, or is he someone who just
hyping, you know?
Not really hyping, but like an arranger who's super interested in the tech and wants to create a use case. So parang yun nga eh. None of the lyrics used were part of previous lyrics. None of the music used were part of the previous music, but they've collected from the discography, like this is the style he writes. This is his style of the chorus. This is the style of the bridge, etc. And then his music naman, when paired to this, ganito siya. So, in that regard, yun yung pinag-uusapan pa. Is it okay to do that, or is babalik ba yun sa original artist? Because like same way with like generative art, lots of artists are saying like their artwork are being used as what do you call that, to feed into the system, and then kaya ka nakakakuha ng artwork from Dali, from Midjourney that resembles the art. But going back to that, yun rin like parang is using the voice of Drake illegal? Parang hindi rin. How can you say na voice niya talaga yun? Pero the moment you put it, Drake and The Weeknd, and this is their new song, doon naman may pagka, they're crossing fraudulent.
That's right. I'm sorry, I misunderstood a while ago when you said this new hybrid of. I thought it was taking their music, but you said it's just the style.
And they got all of the discography.
They kind of extracted a kind of style. It gets a little bit more complicated because
complicated.
then, just like there's a saying, there's nothing new under the sun. There are only 8 notes. 8 notes with different,
I think the fundamental issue here is an issue of ownership in a capitalist system where you want to profit from everything that you've generated, right? And if AI would be truly generative, then we will have to break free from that kind of a mindset that something that we create is something that we own, and then we have the right to profit from it. I think that will be an impediment to the true nature of generative AI. Because in a sense, when you think about it, it's a communal kind of creation. Kasi you feed AI all the things that it knows, right? And ownership there is everyone, tulad na sabi ni Chai kanina. Right? 7 billion potential,
7.
right?
So the answer nga to Rina's question is, we don't know. The
For
short
now,
answer is,
for now, let's own it hanggang magkalo. Parang ganon,
for
right?
now. I
Because
mean,
wala
like,
pa.
And I guess, it's normal, you know. I mean, it's the tech that went ahead of what the current rules are. Parang,
And it's creating disruption.
parang sorry na lang, di ba?
Wild Wild West pa.
right
Sorry
now,
na lang sa mga
it is.
nauuna.
It is.
Because
It is
they'll
the
be-
Wild Wild West.
The
Really,
cases that we learn from.
no one who will have a law for, say, fake, parang deep learning when deep learning didn't exist before. So I think we're at that stage right now. Yeah.
Because you're right. Because, for example, if you ask Regine Velasquez, they say, oh, my inspirations are Mariah Carey. And apparently there's a legend that Mariah Carey called her a Asian monkey or something like that, right? But in fact, you can draw a line between from Mariah Carey to Regine Velasquez, the style and so on and so forth, and Whitney Houston. So how different is that from technology doing something like that? Yeah. So in the end, so wala pa rin.
So, okay, in connection to that, do you think there should be a governing body already being made as soon as possible to govern all this AI? Or do you think that kapag nagkaroon ng governing body, it will stunt naman the growth, the learning mode of AI? If somebody's there to say, oh, hindi pwede to, hindi pwede to. What do you think?
Depends on what culture you're coming from. So when I was working for Facebook, for example, Mark Zuckerberg believed that government should intervene, like because it can't be at the hands of corporations who decide what's good and what's bad. However, if you go to like a country like China or Russia, I mean, they in a way have full control and not. I mean, full control in the sense that they can tell what the people can do and not, but the boundaries are so wide that literally people can do anything that they want to do. So I personally believe, like I have come to a point where I'm trying to get comfortable with uncertainty because I can't really say at this time what's going to be good or bad. So I'm just enjoying the now. It's a very controversial point of view, though, but yeah.
Anyone else?
Regulations tend to do that, actually. It will stunt something anyway, because it will try to prevent, something from happening. Because that's regulation, basically. Kaya nga, importante yung sinabi ni Professor Cortez kanina. Deep ethics, diba, it has to come from each of us, being prudent about these things. Because any form of regulation will be there, it will stunt the growth. And the bad thing is, it will not be absolute, right? It will still create problems of its own. And ultimately, it will boil down to how prudent we are in using these technologies.
Correct. And just to balance that point of view, it's also I think we should also understand that human beings being what we are, right? That if we know that also we can get away with anything, we might just abuse it as well. So there's got to be that sense of there's got to be some structures that will make for accountability, that will somehow demand accountability, but at the same time not too constrictive as to limit creativity.
That's why if you notice the structure of the whole seminar, you started with celebrating, right, the potentials of AI and what we could do with AI. And then we ended with, let's try to temper this.
I was going to say that as my ending,
right?
but I didn't want to.
Because any celebration of new tech that creates, disruption and excitement should be met with cautious celebration, I think. We should be a bit cautious about these things. I think also the effect of being excited about new tech, like generative AI, for example, pinakita nila kanina, is we tend to lose sight of reflexive practice, right? Kaya nga yung sinabi kanina, ako yung take away ko sa lahat ng talk kanina, yung sinabi ni Vendy, sabi niya, after doing all these things, I asked myself, am I happy with it? Right? Kasi ultimately, it will be empty when you keep doing things, right? Because you just can't do it.
Yeah, parang, sino ba yung robot? Yung
Exactly.
AI o ikaw, di ba? Parang in the end, like, you're turning
Parang
it
at
out.
the end, it becomes, an existential ontological matter, right?
Yeah.
Parang, who's being manipulated here?
Yeah, who's controlling
who
who
is
now?
assistive and who's manipulative in this particular scenario?
Yeah, personally, I think, yun nga eh, baka, I think the right approach is we should keep the system open. Like, if we could teach the machine our skill set, our skills, maybe we could align our values with that machine. So, I don't know, I'm very hopeful, but that's how I look at it.
If just being controversial, the guy I was showing earlier, if you remember, Joshua Bengio, who actually had a Turing Award, just last March, a group of them is advocating for stopping any work on AI.
Yeah, I saw the
And the reason for that is they didn't realize how fast it was going to be in terms of the learning. And what they are scared that's going to happen is that it's learning so fast that it'll come to a point that we can't stop it from learning.
Okay.
So, but then again, I'm trying to be comfortable with uncertainty.
Or what it learns will harm humanity.
Yeah, so I think there were 2 points there. One is it will learn so fast that you can't stop it from learning, or actually it's the human intervention, it's the intent of human beings and how they're going to use AI, that we still don't have any borders or boundaries yet on how it's going to be used. So those are the things that are being discussed ethically right now, but it's such a huge discussion. It's so nuanced. It's also hard to say what's wrong or what's right. Just like the Gaza Zionist discussion, it's hard to say my point of view is right and your point of view is wrong, and it's so hard to come to terms with a compromise. So it's really about, to your point, deeply rooted values. What's good or not? Can we rely on that? Maybe yes, maybe no, but we definitely don't have control on that one, because each person has like multiple points of experiences that is unique to each person, right? So again, being controversial.
Yeah, for me naman, if we go back to the thing, like is regulation the parang is that what we need right now?
Yeah, is that the answer?
Is that the answer? And yun nga parang I remember before, like, you mentioned China, Russia, like parang these are the concerns of the US companies. Kasi, in fact, iba pa nga yung corporation over like yung, they made it like an, what do you call that, open source. And then once it's open source, it's up to anyone. It's not up to one company. Like here we have GitHub repos, it's all there. But then yun nga eh. So if we stop now, it's not naman a global law, diba? It's by region. So if they stop in the US, they will be stunted while everyone else just keeps progressing, good or bad, malevolent, benevolent. It doesn't matter na that's what they're scared of. So I think instead of regulation, baka more of, I don't know, policing, or not policing, but like, if it,
May
if it's
country,
like,
ano din yan eh. May
oo eh, iba eh.
Yeah,
So parang
implications.
If there's one thing that Facebook/Meta was sort of anchored on, and I don't know whether this is right or wrong, I used to believe it, medyo, they're saying, continue, but just make sure that it's net positive in terms of benefit. Now, that's a provocative point of view rin, ah. Parang kasi you're assuming that go and progress for as long as that, you know, the positives outweigh the negatives.
That's even assuming you can calculate.
Exactly. Now,
That's not possible.
yeah.
That's really not
And then
possible.
again, look at the negative. How negative can it be before you stop something, right? So I don't think even regulation can stop it, to be honest. Even if you had rules right now or laws right now, look at what's happening with genetic editing, right? I mean, like, bawal mag-edit ng human DNA, but China already did it. Parang I don't think it'll ever stop. I think I go back to the intrinsic values and ethics that each one of us have. So I'm super happy that the students are here because it really relies on you guys. I mean, like, what do you think is valuable and what's good for the world, and decide based on that. Now, will it always happen? Not really, right? But peace.
Oh, we have a question here from Julia. Do you want to ask it yourself? Ako na lang. I'll read out your question. It's for our two professors. What is the stand of the academe regarding use of AI in education?
We don't know.
Sa mga homework.
We are happy with uncertainty. I say. But certain regulations are being drafted. Some of them have been implemented. In the University of the Philippines, recently the university as a whole has already released its AI policies and guidelines, for example. And the human-centeredness is part of the guidelines kasi nga importante talaga yung bahagi yun. I know of certain institutions that allow, for example, content from ChatGPT to be included in academic writing, for example, as long as you cite ChatGPT as your help in drafting that particular portion of the paper. So from the general guidelines and policies and principles up to the specific practicalities of writing academic papers and academic, because in the academia, it's basically that we write papers. That's why Professor Cortez was like reading from, written work a while ago. Steps have been done. We have been thinking about this, but like everything else in the world of AI right now, we don't have the answers to everything. AI in the academe, but steps are being done, and also because we don't know everything, and I think that's the importance of being open, right? Openly talking about this, deliberative work, because we have to talk about it instead of trying to push it, to the sides and ignore it for now, because we're in a third world country anyway. Yung signal nga dito, di ba, hindi nag-work, sabi ni Chai kanina, ang daming technical difficulties, tapos mag-AI pa tayo, right? What kind of foolishness is this? Not all students will have their own machines. We don't have the latest software, for example.
May bayad ng Midjourney.
Of course, may bayad ng Midjourney, hindi magawa ni Chai kanina yung activity niya. So all these things are material realities we have to contend with alongside, di ba, emergent issues like AI. Because certainly we can't, wait for to resolve everything, first, the basics first, before we talk about this. If we do that, then we'd be left in the, sa kangkungan na naman, diba? So we have to resolve the basic things as we tackle the emergent ones because the world is changing so fast.
So in the University of Asia Pacific, I happen to be part of an ad hoc committee that updated the academic handbook, and just last week I got the final copy of what we did, and it included AI already. So we do allow the use of ChatGPT again as a tool, and I was very comfortable with that because precisely I was one of the first users of ChatGPT, and I kind of got one over my students. They hate me so much for, they have not been able to maximize ChatGPT for their essays and all that because I've stopped giving essays, for example. Instead, I've gotten back to, and before I was not giving multiple choice questions because they were so hard to do. It's like it would take you a day, right? They're easy to check, but they're so hard to do. But with ChatGPT, I will just tell you students, so I will just give the text that I want to take multiple choice from, and I go, give me 5 items of 4 choices each based on this text. Sure, I'll do that. Boom, 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 boom. And then of course I feel totally guiltless because I read the questions and I say, ang dali naman ito, pahirapan ko pa. Yan. Tapos the choices are so obvious that I would tweak it. So in other words, it's really my exam. So, but I've stopped giving essays kasi nga you can easily dish out. Although you can really see this is not good. This is not a good essay. It was ChatGPT. But if they use ChatGPT as like a prompt for the essay, like the way it prompted my talk today, for example. But I can assure it's like 95% different from what ChatGPT's outline was so robotic. It's so robotic. None of those IDAS thing. But then anyway, so that's why we're very open to it. There's the challenge for the art classes, but I think ChatGPT has not come up with something ultra realistic, and besides all digital, so they can't really.
That's so cool. Yeah. I mean, I love hearing that. I think just to temper the doomsday, parang I think regardless of that, I think we should be infinite learners. Parang we shouldn't be afraid to try and experiment and see what it's about, and then decide what's good and what's not, and decide. I mean, like if you use ChatGPT to do your essays, you're essentially cheating yourself. I mean, students.
Correct.
Because you remove that opportunity for you to learn. So I know it takes a certain level of maturity to reach that decision point. But then if you use it like as a tool to prompt you to have an idea, seed of an idea that you haven't thought of before, and then you build it out, that's such a wonderful thing to happen. So I view all of these tools that way. Parang, my gosh, parang I couldn't get started. The writer's block is there, but then you see something, then oh my gosh, I'm so excited, I'm gonna do this. So,
but you know what? It requires actually a change in the entire educational system, the way we think about education. Essay writing, we're trying to avoid it, because students can actually, use ChatGPT. But what I'm missing is actually the opportunity to read different voices from students if they take essay writing seriously. And I can't blame them because they're after the submission. It's all about, fulfilling
submission and the grades as well.
And the grades,
because
right?
the teachers,
So if we do away with the grades, I don't know if we can ever do that. If we do away with the grades, then there will be more opportunity for students, to experience writing as thinking, writing the self, discovering your own voice in writing, and they're missing out on these things only because the entire system is not ready for changes such as this.
Yeah. Yung sa akin naman, I remember when this was like hot topic pa because like when it exploded like December, January last year, it was crazy. Yeah. Like students were just like, dude, andali, I'm just gonna ChatGPT, okay na. So parang for a while, parang they're getting away with it. And then I have some professor friends who also have naman like mga counter ChatGPT apps.
I used to do that.
So, i-input mo dun sa...
GPT zero.
Yeah. So once you have that, and then after, it became like a cat and mouse. Kasi now there are new Quillbot, Copy AI, other stuff like popping out that can now, kumbaga circumnavigate. I mean, like, what do you call that? Lalabanan naman yung previous generation. So when that was happening, I was like, ba't nag-uunahan lang tong dalawa? Parang nag-iikot lang to. So like, when you mentioned, like, we changed the way we test students. I was like, yeah. And why don't we just go back to maybe oral recitation
Basics,
or like
right.
the basics?
All of
Yun
that.
yan, baka
Right
maging-
now, because I teach entertainment cultures and societies, so their main, like midterm and finals, they come up with an original song or a song that they edit, and then of course I tell them ahead, you can use tools, ChatGPT or all these other yung mga music generators and all of that. Why? Because I'm actually quite confident that that if they just depend on the AI, it really sounds quite wooden. I mean, it's I still have to see AI that develop. So that's why at this point I'm quite confident. And then I'm telling them also, if if AI becomes part of your project and then it becomes better, then humanity is humanity is more benefited because like we love music. If it's really better music and I know that because it affects me and all of that. There was one group that came up with this MTV, and then I said, oh my God, this just really sounds like a Taylor Swift song. It must be AI. So I kind of, but part of the assessment pala that I tell them is, you explain to me how so the creative process. So that's part of what I assess. So, and it's okay with me if you used AI, so that the openness, right? If you use AI, as long as it's there in the process. And then this person said, no, sir, actually, no, we didn't use AI. I was just like having this moment, and we were so desperate, and then it started tinkering on the piano, and then these chords just came up, and then, oh, that's really great. So, so you encourage them to be technological as well. The only thing I just want to get this phrase out, just for you to think about, what you need to really avoid is what we call, what my professor called the technological mindset. Kasi yung sinabi ni Chai na if you use ChatGPT, you will lose out on the skill set and all that. But then the person with the technological mindset would say, so what? Right? So the idea is the technological mindset is kind of a mindset that does not care that he or she is becoming less human. So, and we know that we are getting into that kasi nga we start to treat other people less than human. Like, for example, what's the effect of having such instant images in like 4 seconds? Is it making you more impatient with people? Is it making you less considerate? Then that's something to check. And you're getting into that sort of mindset already.
Okay, I think we have time for one last question. We'll do like a quick answer for all the panelists. So what is your forecast in terms of AI's impact to individualism or uniqueness in creativity? Let's start with Chai, then going to Dr. Aguirre.
I'm actually excited on what will come out of it. Because I don't know if you remember what I said earlier. I don't think it removes that innate human creativity, but it does amplify. And if we have all of these tools that are emerging, that's gonna amplify that. I can just imagine how unique and how different and how the ideas are crossing boundaries that we haven't seen before. So I'm actually excited to see that. I know there are like naysayers, but I'm an optimist in general, and I would love to see, parang yun nga, alleviate poverty, Gen AI, and food security. You know, I wouldn't be able to think of that on my own.
Yeah, yeah.
But having a prompt to start, something to start with, and being able to come up with something coming from that, I think it's I don't know, I'm very optimistic about it.
Ryan?
Well, for me, in a way, it challenges me because, I need to catch up with the tech. Because I actually share the same thought with Dr. Cortez, the human in the center, because it is a tool. And if the person using it doesn't create insightful prompts, then the kind of the output that you will have is parang it's the usual. So parang as a creative, parang paano ko tataasan yung level of ideation. So in a way, yes, it will amplify creativity, but at the same time, it's a challenge actually, especially for the new generation na hindi nakagisnan yung kung paano mag-brainstorm, kung paano mag-ideate. Because it's a skill set Parang, yes, it's a prompt. Yun nga parang the word prompt, it reduces the discipline.
Yeah.
In the same way how content, di ba? Parang content, parang pinaliit niya yung the creative process, the hours. Di ba? I remember before when I was a young copywriter, 3 oras, 4 na oras yung pag-brainstorm, and then suddenly ang bilis. There's something wrong with that, di ba? Parang mali It's a manufactured style of So I don't know how to address that, but siguro that's the challenge for our generation to train the new generation. Yes, you have the tech, but you need to have that discipline and the right skill set, values, not just ethical values, but the creative values. So that's my point of view.
Vandy?
Sige, ako naman, I'm just really excited because it's just a new tool, and right now, technically, everyone can access it. Everyone has a phone naman. Everyone can access it. Like, parang, it's just, ano ba? You know, like, I like when you talked about the internet and then mobile and ganyan. Because like before, ako kasi when, like, ano ba tawag dito? When I first played around with yun nga, my tablet, and then I started doing Illustrator and Photoshop, parang, that for me was like, wait, there's something new here na hindi to old art. Yeah, and like I can have like layers, which you can't do with paper, diba? You can have like tweak the colors, like instead of just like changing the whole palette. So parang it opened up a new world ultimately when like I came up with when I started digital art, parang ganon. So I think this is just that thing, like we're barely scratching the surface. Actually, what we're talking about, if you notice, I don't know if you noticed, pero technically, iba yung pinag-uusapan namin lahat. It's just all AI. Parang all-encompassing AI lang siya. Pero it's so deep na Like, you can go deep into AI music. You can go deep into AI video making. You can go deep into AI product design, medicine, like even therapy. Like, parang you can now rabbit hole in specific ones. So, again, am I scared of the tool? Again, no, it's not neither good nor bad. Pero, yun nga, maybe it's up to the end user. Tapos babalik lang ako dun sa, as a creative, like, yes, I can now create like 2 books. Alam mo yun, parang by just prompting. I can create children's storybooks by just like prompting. But am I really creating? In the end, am I really producing something? Or yun nga, am I just being another robot in this like endless content AI? Diba? Parang it all boils down to the user. So it's up to you as a creative hanggang saan mo siya gagamitin and hanggang saan siya magiging beneficial or how it can like push your creative excellence. But I think the moment it starts to turn you into the robot, I think that's where like paisip ka na.
Yeah.
Yes, just to echo what Chai and Vandy and Ryan have said, that really, I think the AI tools, they're tools, right? So they can really make you a better person. They can also destroy you in one sense, and this is the reason that we have to be prudent about the things we do. There's always this thing of self-control and all of that virtues. So in other words, that human virtues that make you more human. And to speak to Ryan's point about teaching the next generation to creative values, I totally agree with that, because that's perhaps what they have less, because they have a lot of technology. At the same time, we cannot teach technological beings if we ourselves don't have the credibility that we actually know what we're talking about. I mean, that what we are condemning, right? So in other words, in order for us to share with the younger generation the good things that we have, like the creative values that we said, we need to also equip ourselves with enough technology to be credible for them to realize, okay, this guy is not just telling us creative values kasi hindi siya marunong he can't do AI, diba? So I think all of us have to do the work, whether we are old or young. You learn what you don't, you get what you try to learn what you don't have, and I suppose we really just have to make the best of what we have, right?
Dr. Gire?
Yeah. Ito na ba yung last? So, dahil last na, I'll try to
Yes.
synthesize everything. No,
Sure.
No, I think we go back to what Professor Cortez presented a while ago. Technology is neither good nor bad, nor is it neutral. Key concept. You know, we remember that. Because technology is always a potential, actually, right? We don't know what it will do, but it will do something, right? So AI and any other form of technology is generative. It creates something. We will realize the things that we lack because we create technology for certain things that we want. Therefore, it is assistive, right? It generates stuff. It assists us in doing things, in accomplishing things. But I think because we are trying to put the human back into AI at the center of it, we have to tackle two things about being human. One is we are full of potential, right? We can create great things, but also we could be subject to our desires and agenda, and we are weak in that sense. And yeah, and so, right, and that's why all these technologies, including AI, will tend to be manipulative. One way or another, people will find ways to use AI and any other form of technology to advance their own agenda. Instead of imagining the future of AI, individually, probably it will help us to be more creative and productive. But as a whole, and I think this is the job of dialogue like this, as a whole, what do we need to see? I think mine is an insistence, right? If we are excited about AI, then we should work hard to make AI, one, liberative. It should set us free, right? A Marxist utopia, it will give us more time to pursue what we want, but also it should be transformative. It should change the things in the world that we see right now are not good. Kasi di ba yun naman yung point natin kanina? What do we do with technology? Technology should serve us by producing good things that we could use and better our lives. Siguro yun po ang aking huling salita para sa hapong ito.
Thank you so much to all our panelists. Please stay on stage.
What an inspiring panel discussion we just had. A big thank you to all our panelists for sharing their different perspectives. May I please request everyone to stay on stage for a group photo? Come on, let's take a groupie.
Sige. Can we have the chairs removed, please? And then let's have a photo with our panelists. And then after this photo, we'll call on naman Ma'am Ivy to join the next photo. Si Dean po is still here. Umalis na siya. Okay. And then I'll ask my partners to also join the next photo on stage. Ayan. 5 sila. Okay, just huddle together, please, for a photo op. And then after, you, Pat, Jude, on stage with Ma'am Ivy naman. Sama ko. Ito ang papadala sa, dyaryo. Ito siya naman sa dyaryo. Stay on stage, one more photo. As a video. Please stay on stage, Ma'am Ivy. Join, please. Eugene, Pat, Julia. We'll join you for the photo. Hey, sir, also. Mga taga DZUP, may tao pa, nandito pa ba sila to join the photo? Oo, naka-live stream pa rin to. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And now, to close off today's event, I'd like to invite the Huddle Room's managing partner and chief of innovations, Rina Cruz Robles.
Nag-uwian na yung iba. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today's event has been really an incredible journey of exploration and innovation as we delved into the profound synergy between AI and creativity. That whole line, kinuha ko yon from ChatGPT. All right. So the next lines are already what I wrote. So it's really a synergy between me and AI. So I would like to thank our speakers, Vandy Pesarillo, Chai Mondihar Saputil, Dr. Robert Cortez, for imparting your knowledge on how these two forces can intertwine to create groundbreaking opportunities. And as we prepare to conclude this event, I would also like to thank the Broadcast Department of the University of the Philippines, College of Mass Communication, and the participation of Dean Fernando Paragas and Dr. Alwin Aguirre, as well as the support of the College Secretary, Ma'am Ivy, and the entire staff of the Broadcast Department and DZUP. Salamat din to our ECD, Ryan, and to EAT for providing the most beautiful host for today's program. Most of all, salamat sa lahat ng mga sumali, the students of UP, the students of UANP, our media and client partners. Today's message is very clear. AI is not here to replace creativity, but to amplify and empower it. The future holds promise for those who embrace this collaboration. So until we meet again in the next CreaCon, good afternoon to everyone.
Yay! Thank you for inviting me. I sure do you learned a lot today. Remember, AI always innovate. AI always isip. Isip nang bago. Thank you, everyone. Yahoo! Tapos na. Laban lang. 14344. Mwa chup chup. Gimme 5.